And good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. I'm told that Drew Forrester is going to stop by at some point. I apologize for that in advance. In just a second, Jim Bowden, former MLB general manager, now man you hear and see just about everywhere, including The Athletic, will check in with us later on in the program. It's been an emotional week for Stevenson Lacrosse. You probably heard all about it. They're also getting ready for the NCAA Tournament, and their head coach, Paul Cantabene, will check in with us. And that all is coming up this morning. We'll get Would You Rather Wednesday scenarios up in a bit as well. Apologies, we had a little technology issue we were dealing with this morning, so I will get to that as soon as I can. We would talk about the Orioles last night, but why would we do that? The hell would we talk about? They didn't hit. End of story. It's just kind of what it is. But they'll try again tonight. Kyle Bradish on the mound this evening as the Orioles try to avoid a word that we haven't heard much in the regular season anyway. We obviously heard it in the playoffs last year. That is sweep. All right, we start things off today. Always a pleasure to be joined by our next guest, of course, former MLB general manager. You hear him on Sirius XM. You see him on CBS Sports HQ. You read him at The Athletic. He is Mr. Jim Bowden. He's back with us now here on GCR. Jim, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up with you. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Glenn, it's my pleasure. Anytime I get to talk about Oriole Magic, I love it.
Well, there wasn't any last night, unfortunately. But other than that, yes, it's been a phenomenal start to the season. Jim, it's funny because I read two of the things that you wrote recently for The Athletic, and I start the conversation before we get into specifically the suggestion that you made for a trade. Are you convinced at this point that if the Orioles don't upgrade their bullpen, it will be difficult for them to win a World Series with what it is they currently have at the back end?
Yes, I do. Look, I think the Orioles are the best team in the American League. I think the Dodgers are the best team in the National League. So if the best teams get to the World Series, I think Baltimore, with the team they have, can still get there. But that being said, I don't think you build a World Championship caliber team and not be obsessed with the one weakness you have. Like you don't build a 5-star restaurant and forget the bathroom. You just don't. You put in the gold plumbing and you do it right, right? It's important. Otherwise, you're not going to be what you want to be. I in my experience in the mid '90s and '95, I got to the National League Championship Series. I was 4 wins away from the World Series, facing the Atlanta Braves, and then I got to the 6th or 7th inning. Every game was like 1-0, 2-1, right? Because that was the Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz era, right? And I had Shurik and Smiley and David Wells. And so everything was a pitching duel. But the difference between them getting to the World Series and me putting my tail between my legs and going home is I didn't have that 6th-inning reliever to stop Fred McGriff and David Justice in the biggest moments at the biggest time of the year. And to this day, I go back and regret. And the one thing I noticed, because I'm always on the field for all the World Series, I have been for over a decade now, right, covering it for Sirius XM. And the one thing that you realize when you're at that level is whatever weakness you have, that's when it shows up. whatever your kryptonite is, it shows up in that series. and so that's why you have to, if you're a GM with a 100-win team like the Orioles, you have to be obsessed with finding a way to get rid of whatever weaknesses you have, because you don't want to be facing the Rangers in the ALCS or wherever you're going to face, and you lose because you didn't have somebody to get Corey Seager and Evan Carter out in that 6th inning. You just can't let that happen.
So it's interesting and it probably will parlay into the conversation we had about the trade you suggested, because you bring up the 6th inning. I think most Orioles fans would say their concern is about the 9th inning and that Craig Kimbrell is just not going to be able to handle the workload that you want from a traditional closer. In listening to you say this, are you saying that your concern isn't Craig Kimbrell specifically or the 9th inning, it's more about getting there to begin with?
Well, I'm concerned about Craig Kimbrell.
Okay.
I like Cano in the 8th inning.
Yep.
So I do like that. I don't like the overall bullpen. And so that's the one weakness the Orioles have. I love everything else about this team, right? I like this. I love the starting pitching. And if John Means and Kyle Bradish can do what they did their last starts, are you kidding me?
No, it's insane.
Over the weekend? Yeah, I mean, so you look at this team and it's okay. Where do we fix it? We got to fix the bullpen. How do we do it? Well, there's plenty of ways because you have a loaded farm system, and you don't have to trade Mayo, and you don't have to trade your top guys. But you got to figure it out. You got time, right? You got till July 30th to figure it out. But I don't think the answer is just a closer. I think it's a closer and the sixth inning and the seventh inning, and just keep adding to what you have and keep upgrading. You can't get enough. You're gonna have injuries. Someone else is gonna blow out. That's the way it is, and there's just not the answer in AAA.
So let's talk about the trade that you suggested at The Athletic, because it's with the Guardians. It's Hunter Gaddis and Cade Smith for Heston Kjerstad, which I'll go twofold. I think when everybody sees the Guardians, they're like, ooh, Clase, but, I mean, my God, he's under contract for forever at an extremely affordable price. It's going to cost you an extraordinary amount, and I don't even know why they would be doing it. But what is it about Gaddis and Smith that intrigue you so much?
Well, I think both of them can close games.
Okay.
So if given the opportunity, I think the stuff is that good. And I think they're difference makers. And both of them. You know, one of the things that I did in my 16 years as a GM, you know, I always was challenged financially. So I had to, I couldn't go out and get a free agent closer, right? I mean, I had to get my own. So I spent a lot of my years as a GM trading for setup guys. Like I traded for Jeff Shaw, who was the fourth reliever in the Expos bullpen. He ended up winning a Rolaids for me. I traded for Jeff Brantley, who was the third reliever in the Giants bullpen. He ended up winning a Rolaids for me. I traded John Smiley to Cleveland and got Danny Graves back and a sinker baller, and he won a Rolaids. And so my point is, yes, everyone, all my young children would tell you, go trade for Clase, right? Go get the proven guy. But that's not how it works, right? The price you'd have to pay to get Clase would cost Cowser and Mayo, and you're not doing that. So it's just, why not just go get the guy that hasn't gotten that opportunity yet, but has the stuff and the makeup and the competitiveness to do it? Just because they haven't done it doesn't mean they can't do it. You just got to pick out the right guys. And these are two guys that I'm huge fans of. I think they're difference makers, and I think Gaddis can close. So I would trust him in that role. So anyway, so that's kind of why I when I did this piece, I tried to be realistic,
sure,
rather than just do the fandom thing.
Jim Bowden is with us here on GCR, and we're going to link up that story from The Athletic about these trade suggestions that he made on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio. Jim, I guess the follow-up would be, is Heston Kjerstad too heavy of a price to pay for someone without the track record of having closed in big spots?
I think what you have to decide is how good you think Heston Kjerstad is and how important he is going forward, right? I mean, obviously I would rather deal Austin Hayes, right? But sure, that's not going to work for Cleveland, correct, right? And Cleveland's not going to want Anthony Santander because, you know, they want cheap. They don't have any money, and they need a corner outfielder. So I don't want to give up Mayo. I like Mayo better than I like Kjerstad. I'm not going to give up Cowser. I don't want to give up the other pieces that make me the 100-win team. I'm not going to give up my top left-handed pitching prospect, who's major league ready, sitting there in the minor leagues right now. So you got to be careful, and then you have to say, well, what's fair? I mean, would I feel good trading a first-round pick? Nah, I wouldn't feel good, but I'd understand that you have to give up something to get something. That's how it works. You're not going to be able to make a deal like this if you don't. You know, when going back to my examples, you know, I traded Jeff Brantley for Dimitri Young, right? Working it the other way. I traded Dave Burba for Sean Casey, you know, working it the other way, right? You have to give up something to get something. And you're not getting one reliever here. You're getting two. And you're getting two that you control, two that are inexpensive. So it's going to leave you the money to re-sign Corbin Burnes or play in free agency.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, you gotta bake that into the conversation, right?
So I guess let me go. Is it possible that the answer could be internal before that? Like I suggested, Jim, that I'm at the point where I'm not writing off Craig Kimbrell as being a helpful piece to this team. I think he can be. But at this point, like if the Orioles were to have a save situation tonight, I would be inclined to let Yennier Cano have the opportunity to try to do it again. I know it didn't go great at the end of last year, but his temperament seems to be good, and he seems to have the stuff to be able to handle it. Would you be inclined to try to let an internal option or so prove that they're capable of it over the next couple of weeks to maybe, measure what it is that you actually need at the deadline?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's what this is. Absolutely. 100%. I would. We've watched Cano a lot. Well, why hasn't he done better in that role?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I've been watching him, and the stuff tells me, as dominant in the 8th inning, why can't you do it in the 9th inning?
Right.
Well, I don't know him personally, but he hasn't been doing it, and I don't want blown saves. Like if you're winning after 8, I got to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sweat. I don't want to experiment, right? If you guys are up 3-2 in the 9th and you bring Kimbrell in, you get out the defibrillator. None of us are going to feel good. And if you put Cano in the 8th inning in a 3-2 game, I feel really good. But if you put him in the 9th inning, please leave the defibrillator out because I still need that. And that's kind of how I feel. But yeah, I'm absolutely fine. I think that you have to keep working with what you have, not what you don't have. You got to make it work with the pitchers you have until you get better pitchers. I mean, that's the job of the manager who's done a great job. But yeah, you have to keep figuring out what's my best shot at closing a 1-run game in the 9th. Is it Kimbrell, is it Cano, or is it somebody else? And you go from there.
Is it possible it could be Tyler Wells, or does he give up too many home runs?
To me, he gives up too many home runs. He wouldn't be on my board. Yeah,
I get it.
I would be trying to trade for the relievers, right? I would be calling Washington on Kyle Finnegan.
Sure.
I would be picking up the phone. You're not going to get Mason Miller, but
No.
maybe you could get Urseg, right? I mean, I'm just going to stay on the phone. And look, I hope my internal guys solve it. Great, but I'm not going to stop. And by the way, even if I got one closer, I would still be chasing the next closer. Like I'm just going to keep being obsessed with it. If Houston bounces back in this thing, and the only reason they're not in it is they had 3 pitchers that went 0-10 with an 8 ERA. And you take those 10 losses off, and it's a different story, right? But when their bullpen gets ready and gets right, and you've got Hader in the 9th, Presley in the 8th, Abreu in the 7th, if they make it to the playoffs and you're in a short series and it's Baltimore against Houston, they're going to have a big advantage in innings 7, 8, and 9. And they're going to be able to hit with you, and they're going to be able to defend with you. But they're going to beat you. They're going to beat you in the 7th, 8th, and 9th if you don't fix it. If you don't get it better.
Is it something you do now, Jim? Like, is this everybody thinks about July as a time, but are you trying to be aggressive and make this type of move now to not let anything else go worse before you get to that point?
I'm not going to rush the timeline.
Okay.
Because I just got to make sure that whatever we do makes sense short and long term, and I'm not going to rush it because I don't have to. I don't have to do anything, and I'm going to win 100 games, and I'm going to pop champagne. That's what's going to happen if I do nothing.
Sure.
I could live with this team the way it is. I have the best team in this division, and I'm going to win this division, whether I go get a reliever or not. That being said, I'm going to be looking in that chair. I'm going to be thinking of October and my matchups. And how am I going to do in short series? Because we learned last year with this setup, it's the best teams probably aren't getting to the World Series. The way this thing is set up, the way you have 5 days off if you win the division, which Baltimore is going to have. So I got to make sure when October hits, I got the best possible team I have in that. And the bullpens win you the playoffs in the World Series. If you have bullpens that can shut down the other lineup, you're going to win and go on. That's just the way it is. So, because that's your biggest weakness of your team, if I'm Mike Elias, I will not sleep till July 31st. And that's the day after the deadline this year.
And by the way, I completely agree with your assessment that you go get multiple closers because, as we've seen, you need a closer in the 5th, you need a closer in the 7th, and you need a closer in the 9th in the playoffs. That's the way that works. Before I let you go, Jim, just one other question. The Orioles lead all of baseball in home runs. They're 18th now in on-base percentage at this point. As long as they keep hitting home runs, I guess that's fine, but are you at all concerned that they're too reliant on the long ball at this point in the season?
I think the on-base percentage is going to improve as the season goes on, but, I'm all about scoring runs. I'm not really obsessed with how you do it. How are you scoring runs against the best pitchers in the league is what I care about. I don't care about when you're putting up runs against third, fourth, and fifth starters. I care about how are you putting up runs against the top starters in the league, the starters you're going to face in October. That's what I'm obsessed with, those top 2 or 3 starters. That's it. If the lack of on-base percentage is hurting in those particular matchups, then that's one conversation. But I also think you're going to see, you're already seeing Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson being MVP candidates. Mm-hmm. But you're also at some point, Westberg just keeps getting better right in front of us. Kowser's potential is screaming in front of us. The next time Holiday comes up, it'll be a completely different Holiday than the one everybody saw in April. So I mean, just from afar, and I'm not at Camden Yards watching every game, but from afar, I had zero concern about the offense on this baseball team beating the best pitchers in baseball. Zero concern.
I appreciate it. All right, Jim, what can I plug for you, sir?
You've already plugged everything, Glenn. I appreciate having me on, man.
Thank you.
Always great to visit with you.
Really,
love your show.
Thank you for taking the time, Jim. Really appreciate you, man. Have a great one.
Take care.
Jim Bowden, always appreciate that. Taking a couple of minutes for us this morning. Again, CBS Sports HQ and The Athletic and Sirius XM. It's an interesting thought process, right? Again, his trade suggestion in The Athletic is for 2 guys that aren't closers. But his point is, well, I think they can be. And they're just not closers because Emmanuel Clase is there. And so clearly you're not going to experiment with Hunter Gaddis or Cade Smith as being your closer. And it's intriguing, and I hear everything he's saying. It's just a difficult pill to swallow to say, hey, the answer that we're going to go get to be the closer is going to be someone who hasn't closed. Okay. Sure. But it goes back to what we talked about before. The guys that you want, Clase and Mason Miller, you're just not paying that price. You want those guys, you're giving up everything because there is so much control there that there is no reason for those teams to give them up. You can keep looking. The Orioles thought that they could do this with Kimbrel. We want a 1-year option because we've got our closer after that. We want a 1-year option, someone that can get us through this season. It made sense, even if we weren't all enamored with it. The thought process made sense. The guys that you say, go get this guy, just go get Mason Miller. Okay, cool. You ready to give up Kobe Mayo and Samuel Basayo? Like, that's what you're talking about. Because they don't need to do it. There's no reason for them to just say, we'll take Heston Kjerstad. Although I'll end up having some fun with that in Would You Rather Wednesday. This is the reality of the circumstances. And you could say, well, that's it's too much. You can't give that up. Okay, well then you're not getting that guy. So then what are you doing? And again, to me, it's why I'm trying the Yennier Cano experiment before that. I'm checking that box beforehand. Let me see. Because I'm not out on making this type of trade. Again, his suggestion, Kjerstad to the Guardians for Hunter Gaddis and Cade Smith. I'm not out on it. But if over the next 2 months I'm confident in Yennier Cano, then I like this trade even more because I'm not experimenting at that point. I have the closer. Speaking of closers.
When your offense sucks, you don't need a closer.
It's a great point. Dynamite observation. Drew Forrester is here. Today's show.
Take the Orioles in the over, they said last night.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that's what I heard.
Why did they say take the over? Both pitchers had been pitching well. Why?
The same reason you said last week. Lorenzo Gill or whatever his name was in a reverse lock.
Well, I did say it was a reverse lock.
And it was.
Correct.
Last night, the over and the Orioles was a reverse
you thought
lock.
that was a reverse. Got it.
Yeah, but nobody decided to show up with the bats.
Yeah, that's true. They had 3 hits.
If the game would have been at 10:05, it would have been a familiar phrase for you. What? No morning wood.
What? What?
Because they went swing bats?
But I don't even understand how it makes sense. I'm trying to walk through that. What do you
New material.
You say no morning wood. Like I feel like everybody deals with that. I'm not sure why that would be a familiar phrase.
New material.
Like no morning sex maybe makes more sense. I don't know. I'm just not sure how that one worked. I appreciate
new material
that you were working through it. Just feel like maybe that one wouldn't have made the set when you were doing the roast.
Well, you got to have some good ones. Did you see the roast?
Did I see it?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Let me ask you this.
Hang on. Before you do. Okay. Today's show is brought to you by Atman's Deli. We love Atman's Deli. Everything you love about the original Atman's Deli now at the new location in Harbor Point. AtmansDeli.com is the website to find out the daily specials. And again, it's Atman's Deli, a Baltimore institution, plus now it's also a sports bar. Everything that you could want in one location, Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. Yes, you were saying.
Well, why would Tom Brady have subjected himself to that? Why would you do that?
You want 2 theories?
Yeah, sure.
So one, and I've talked to a few folks that I know in sports management about this. The first one that I got was, to me, one of the more honest assessments. Post-playing career, yes, Tom Brady, the brand, the human, is very significant. But there's very few things that he can do now that will generate giant audiences. There won't be significantly larger ratings for football games because Tom Brady is broadcasting them than there were last year when Greg Olson was broadcasting them.
Okay.
Like, there's never been a case of an analyst driving the ratings for a game. It's never happened before. There are he's not an actor. He can't go make a movie. In order to prove your value in this, whatever you want to call it, Q rating, whatever the term is, there's very few things that Tom Brady can do at this point in his career. Very few. And one of them they figured out was this.
Make himself human?
That's part of it, but it's more just the nature of the event. Hey, if we go make jokes about Tom Brady getting divorced, like, people will say, holy crap, I want to watch that. And we will pop a huge number, and it will make Tom Brady's value look even more significant.
Okay.
That, and the answer being, he can't do a movie. Like, he's not going to go be in the next, he's not an actor. He's not good enough to do that. I understand.
I don't know.
I understand what you're about to say.
You see him play football?
I understand. He was very good at football. Very good at
Would
football.
you see him act in football?
Oh, you're saying
been shot?
I don't know what's going on with your mic. We'll see if we can't get that figured out. I have no idea what the
I'm wondering if it's our headphones. It sounds
okay. Whatever. No, it's not. I mean, like, that doesn't. It's not the headphones. That's not what it is. It's unique to the mic somehow. There's a. Thank you for making it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Am I too close to it?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what's happening.
We're having technical difficulties.
It's the weirdest thing ever that's going on. It might be the port. We might have to switch ports. I'm not sure. Anyway, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just asked.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a convergence of things. I'm also to understand that Tom Brady apparently is friends with Jeff Ross, who's known as the roast master.
Right, the roaster.
And thought that it would be a fun thing to do. And it might be that now, again, putting yourself.
Yeah, I mean, when you give these people carte blanche.
Say you can make whatever gay jokes you want to make, whatever, say any awful thing that you want to say.
Dana White might have been a little overboard.
I think a few people might have been a little overboard. Thought there are a few folks on that list.
Dana White say, am I trans enough for you or something like that? Like, what on earth?
There were a few people. There was a whole Hitler set.
Right, yeah.
There was a whole Tom Brady is Hitler set.
When you give, I mean, there are, again, it kind of falls under the guise of, well, it's a roast. You can make fun of Hitler, or you can make,
right.
In the normal.
Nothing mad. Yes, correct.
And if a Patriots player, if McCourty or one of those guys, and at his zenith would have said,
Yes.
Brady's a lot like Hitler here.
Yeah, correct. He's done for forever. He's never playing football again.
Right.
Correct.
But in a roast,
it's sort of like it's theater. Like we're all acknowledging. It's
this is
like
what they've been doing to Trump for the last 6 years. Same thing.
I don't think it's exactly like that. I don't think it's exactly the same.
Unfairly roasting him
Is that
for
what
6
it
years.
is? They're unfairly. He's really given them nothing. It's just they've been. It's a witch hunt.
Can you imagine a roast of him? It
I
would
don't-
take 3 days.
But I don't know what possibly
It would
could.
be like the Eminem. It would be like the end of 8 Mile.
100%. I've now
Trump
said.
would come out and he would go,
Yeah.
okay, Stormy Daniels, that happened.
Right.
Me trying to get the election fixed, that happened.
Yeah. Right.
Me
Now,
inciting, that
now what you got?
Now what do you got for
Yeah,
me there?
right.
B-Rabbit or
Well,
what?
I don't even think he would have to do it. I think all these people would realize we've already done all of it.
Yeah, they would come out and they would be, okay, let the roast begin.
What-
First up, Bob Smith. Bob would come out and he would go, I don't know if I have anything. Actually.
Yeah, correct. 100%.
And Trump would be like, you make something up then.
Correct. Yeah, fine.
You better roast me.
No doubt.
All right.
I don't know though. It was funny. I enjoyed it. I thought it was.
I found it uncomfortable, but
I think there were a couple of times that I felt that way, but more often than not, I enjoyed it. You should love it. It's the end of. Everybody says it's the end of censorship. It's the end of
right. We can just say
PC
whatever,
culture. It's the end
we
of.
want.
That's what the internet's telling me.
There's only
now.
one roast I want to get invited to.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh.
Zero chance. Anything that involves giving that guy attention.
Oh,
I'm out.
but could you imagine
I'm out.
Could you imagine the roast?
No, because you have to be. This is the other part of it too. In order for a roast to work, the participant has to be willing to play along with it, and
Right.
I
guess that's kind of what I meant. Like,
yeah,
it would be like when they told Jim Morrison you can't say higher, light my fire,
right.
on the Ed Sullivan Show,
Right.
and he looked right in the camera and said higher.
Yes,
There
correct.
would be a laundry list of 12 things we wouldn't be allowed to talk about, and we'd talk about all 12 of them.
I mean, apparently you weren't allowed to talk about Robert Kraft at the Tom Brady roast. He said
Right.
he shot that one down quick.
Right.
Shot that one down awfully quick.
But in fairness, like there should be the availability. You should have the guy getting the roast or girl should be allowed to say like, "Hey, man, I don't care, but we can't talk about Robert Kraft."
Okay, but
You should be allowed to do that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough for me. It's tough. I get if what your thought process is, hey, you're roasting me.
He got up there and said,
Not-
"Don't bring him up anymore."
Correct, not him. But at the same time, dude, like
Yeah,
it's like you're making fun of other people for things like for being Jewish that they have no control over.
right.
He did that. Like,
Well, no, he didn't. She did it.
thank you. Great point.
Yes.
Great. He solicited it. That
No,
happened.
Not really. He went in there and
Right.
she said,
Oh, is that what it was?
Well, I mean, that's
He
what
was
he-
an innocent bystander and all.
That's
What is happening
That's-
here? I didn't ask for any of this.
"It's very inappropriate touching that's going on right now."
Correct. Not acceptable. Not okay. He did that.
Right.
Like, you kind of have to live with it at some
Which was
point.
also odd in that I don't even remember where it was. Was it Sarasota? Where was it? It was in Florida.
Yeah, it was somewhere
right?
in Florida, right?
I don't know. Couldn't he have just
I
driven?
think you're confusing it with Till. Now
Couldn't-
I
yeah,
think
right,
that's
right.
what's going.
Couldn't he have just driven to like the University of South Florida and said to the driver, "Do me a favor. Here's $3,000."
I'm pretty
The
sure
best-
that's illegal too, Drew.
No. You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
The next really nice looking University of South Florida girl that comes walking by,
Yeah.
tell her I want to take her to dinner.
I don't think he wanted dinner. I don't think.
Well, we'll get to the other part. We gotta
Right,
go
but
to
if
dinner
that's
first.
implied,
We got to go to dinner first.
I'm pretty sure that's still illegal.
We got to go to dinner
Again,
first.
I am not. We established this last week. A legal scholar,
Yeah,
I am
you
not.
are not an attorney. And in Florida, by the way,
not.
things are different.
In Florida, I might be an
Yeah.
attorney. Actually, it's the weird part.
Things are kind of different down there.
I might get down there and they say, "Congratulations,
Yeah,
we're pulling jobs out of the hat. You're an attorney."
Yeah, it is different in Florida, that's for sure.
It is a really strange
Poor
place.
Robert Kraft.
But what
Poor-
is this poor Robert
Football
Kraft?
team decimated.
I think
Guy doesn't
he's.
have anything
I
left.
think his life
Nobody
is okay.
shaves with Gillette products anymore. Like, poor guy.
Is that
I
true?
don't know. I feel like it is. We're all Harry's members now.
Is that what
Aren't
we all join here? Not I.
No, are you still Gillette?
No, I'm whatever my wife brings home. That's what I'm.
I'm a
using.
Harry's guy.
Yeah,
I am.
What do you pay for the subscription? Oh, have to. Apparently, he turned your microphone
Oh, hey,
off. We
check,
have to-
check,
yeah,
one,
use
two,
that
check,
one.
one,
All
two.
right.
check. Did you guys hear about penny for your thoughts, but you got to put your 2 cents in?
Yes, I've heard that.
Everything's walking distance if you got the time.
I don't know what's going on here.
Stephen Wright.
I'm aware.
Oh.
What is?
What were we talking about?
I don't know. I don't. Robert Kraft.
Did you see the
everybody-
holdovers?
Harry's. Yes, we talked about the holdovers last
Oh, we
week.
did.
It's not new material.
I watched it again.
You got to try again.
That's a great movie.
I'm trying to watch the Pop-Tart movie. I think I'm going to tap out. I think I'm going to.
Pop-Tart.
Even it's Jerry Seinfeld's been out plugging this Pop-Tart movie all week and talking about how comedy's dead. Well, he's
How was
helping in the process.
It is. Yeah,
How
right.
far did you get into it?
I got, I don't know, 20 minutes into. Now, Griffin's trying to see if the microphone works.
Do you like them? Are you a toast or not toast Pop-Tart guy?
When I was a Pop-Tart man, I did not toast the Pop-Tarts.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just right out of the foil Pop-Tart guy.
But are the design of them is to be toasted,
Correct.
right? Like, I mean,
Correct.
when you
Yes.
don't eat them toasted, in their mind, you're eating it wrong. Right?
I think the bit.
filling is designed to be warm.
I think that was the thought process originally,
Okay.
but then they purposely made the Pop-Tart so that it could be enjoyed either way.
Have you seen? I got to think of what brand it is. So give me a second to think about it, or what company it is. Do you ever watch any of the Food Wars stuff on cable, where they
no.
go back and look at the
No.
evolution of these companies?
I don't know.
There was an amazing one. Gosh, and it was about a breakfast.
By the way, if you're just tuning in, this is what we do.
yeah, this is what
This
we do.
is what it is.
Oh, it was it Dunkin' Donuts? I don't remember. But there was an amazing story about the evolution of a breakfast company, and the guy who ran it might have. Oh, you know who it was? I'll tell you exactly who it was. It wasn't breakfast. It was. It was Swanson
Okay,
of meals.
but I didn't know that was breakfast.
Well, they do. They make eggs and they put. But anyway,
Okay.
the story about the Swanson company is unbelievable. How much, I know it sounds crazy to say this, how much attention to excellence they had at the beginning of Swanson. TV meals, like amazing.
Excellence.
Yes.
Excellence.
Yes. When you watch it, it's pretty amazing how much attention to detail they had. But anyway,
I'm okay with attention to
let's go
detail.
ahead and talk
I'm not
about the
sure.
Orioles.
Speaking of excellence.
Yeah.
Speaking of excellence. You're right over there.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, what else you have prepared? What else did you have prepared for today?
Whatever you got. Talk about
I asked what you
this
had
mythical
prepared.
trade you guys are all talking about.
The Orioles need some
Who
bullpen help.
cares?
You good?
Do they really?
Yes, they do. 100% they
In
do.
what way?
Well, they need a
I
closer.
mean, we did this last week, right?
They need a closer.
I'm still convinced of that.
They absolutely need someone to be their closer.
It's
now,
not
as
Kimbrel.
it's not Kimbrel. Now, as I've said, I'm inclined today to experiment
Now,
again.
if they're
with-
ahead tonight in the ninth inning, he's coming in, and then the bases are going to be loaded. But
he's
coming in.
He is coming in tonight. Well, I don't
Right.
know. He hasn't pitched in a little while, so he might be okay tonight.
Well, no, the bases are still going to be
You
loaded.
say that. I mean, he didn't
Right.
pitch in a little while on a Friday night. He struck out the side. He was
Yeah.
dominant. Like, when he doesn't pitch
Yeah,
for a little while,
yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
he's okay. There was somebody last night.
Man bun thing, dude. Let your hair down like
Is
a
that,
man.
is that what it is? But it's working out okay for Dean Kramer. There was somebody last night on Twitter who was like, it's not the City Connect uniforms. The Orioles just aren't good on weekends and after days off. I'm like, that's a lot of the games. Like,
It's only 3 a week.
that's like
Right.
a lot of the games.
Are you a city?
It's
are
not.
you a City Connect conspiracy?
Well, they gotta
theorist?
go, but I don't. I mean, like,
Is he?
it's
He is the
it's
City
a
Connect's
weird thing
conspiracy.
where like I don't think it actually has anything to do with how they're performing. They have to go anyway. Like they have to. You can't just
Why?
keep going out there and trying to
And losing
pretend.
in 'em?
Yes, like you can't just keep doing that
I love it.
and pretending like it's not a thing.
I'm
They're the
not
best team in
superstitious,
baseball.
I'm just super.
I mean, it's one of those things where like I'm not psychotic. I understand there's no correlation.
Why did they wear them
between-
last night? Because the DC Baltimore thing.
Is the stupid they're trying to keep? They just keep.
And
That
who
was really
they're
cool.
so
wasn't it?
no, it wasn't.
Who determines that they wear them? Is it a league? Does the league say next Tuesday night you're wearing them?
This is there's.
Are they?
it's-
Is it
it's
like
so
you have to wear
neb-
them 10 times a year or something?
It's so
or-
nebulous. Everybody keeps saying these things like, well, there's an agreement with Nike. I'm like, what is it? No one can present to me what the agreement
Well,
is.
that's
Like-
I'll say this in the nicest way I can.
Yeah.
It's kind of none of your business.
It kind of is.
It is none of your business. The league's agreement with Nike isn't any of your business.
There's sure, but it's the Orioles' business, and if you can pay a fine to get out of it, then I just go ahead and pay the fine and get the F
But
out of it.
That's not how that would work.
Why not?
It wouldn't work that way. You wouldn't.
Okay,
Just
then why were some
unilaterally-
teams not wearing City Connect uniforms until a week ago? There isn't a one size fits all thing
no,
here.
No. I would say that
And by the way, I think the
The
Rays are
answer-
now wearing them for every game.
the answer is that Nike/the league dictates it. Here, this would be my guess, and I could be totally wrong because I don't go online to look every night at a highlight. Someone's probably wearing them every night.
I believe the Rays have been wearing them.
But someone's
constantly.
probably wearing, some team somewhere is probably wearing their City Connect uniform every night.
Which makes me
in the
think the
season.
team might have more of a decision or more power in the decision.
I don't think
like you
so.
have to do but none of it makes sense.
I
It's
don't think
not
so.
a rule that every team has to wear their City Connect uniforms on Friday nights.
No, correct. But the league says, the league dictates it, and Nike dictates it. But more so, the league says, here's Orioles. Here you go. Here are the 19 games this year you're wearing the uniforms.
Then why
Here
did
they are.
Why did teams not other teams
Because then
not
they-
have to do that last year?
I don't know about last
Not
year.
all of them still have one yet.
This is why like
it
I
doesn't make any
with all
sense.
due
Yeah.
respect to you and what you think you know, it's effing hogwash. There is no lineup
Jeez
rule
Louise.
about this.
You don't know that.
There can't be.
So
it's not consistent.
So the Dodgers.
Maybe they're grandfathering or integrating teams into it when they get the things done. I don't know. Neither do you.
So the
course I don't.
Dodgers.
I
in,
like the uniforms. I think they're great.
They're awful.
in
They're
June.
atrocious.
I think they're awesome.
That's you
And-
don't
and if
you
they-
don't believe that for
And
a
if
second.
they said something to me, I would say wear them all the time.
Yeah, you don't believe that for even a second.
Look what
they
it's
look
done to the White
awful.
Sox.
Yeah, great point. Great point.
In June, the Dodgers are getting a second City Connect jersey.
See what I mean?
The Yankees and the A's don't have one yet.
There's no.
Well, you can't have
The
have
A's
one for
can't
the
have
A's.
one. Yeah.
We don't know where they're playing.
There's
And
what
the
city would
Yankees
they be
ob-
connected
And
to?
the Yankees objected to it. They're above it.
Right. There is no uniform policy here.
No one is ever going to tell the Yankees you can't wear the pinstripes.
Well, I don't think that they would be saying
They're
you
the
can't
Yankees.
wear the pinstripes. It would be saying for one night a week you've got to wear something
Nope,
else.
not for the Yankees. Pinstripes.
So someone
You wear the pinstripes.
creative enough just hasn't come around yet to make a City Connect pinstripe.
A pinstripe City Connect
Yeah.
Well, they
uniform.
did say in New York what they wanted to do was just put a gun on the shirt.
What?
But then Baltimore had that one already. So that's
that's what you
that's
got.
our alternate.
That's
You should
that's
see, you should
that's
see
your,
the Tigers. The Tigers
you're,
debuts
you're
Friday.
killing it, man.
Motor City.
You're killing it.
It says Motor City on
Yeah.
it, but that's it. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Isn't
to
that the
it.
How do you
Astros
not
just
like
says
that?
Space City or whatever?
How
Yeah,
do you
but theirs
not
is
like
kind of
Motor
cool because
City?
it's like
I don't
what a-
like. I don't
they're
like
just
any of
boring.
these.
It's
What a-
just
what a-
nothing. The Rays
What a
might have the
downer
coolest
you've
one.
become.
The
Is
Rays
that
might
a
have the coolest
downer?
one.
The older you get.
It's that all of these uniforms stink.
Towson
But
got in the
that's not
NCAA
true.
tournament.
They did. That's a good point. I'm
Just
not really
cheer
sure
you
how
up.
that has anything related to do with what we're talking
Cheer
about.
you up a little.
Washington's uniforms are fine. They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine last
They're
night.
fine.
They
Yes,
have to do with I
They,
mean,
they actually they feel like there's a connection to the city in some way. Like they're fine. I still wouldn't. I don't know the Washington uniforms.
Oh,
on
I
the
could have
whole
come
are-
up with a good one for the DC.
Yeah, you got. Go ahead.
We'll leave that one alone.
Yeah, gonna
No,
leave that one
Make
alone.
them orange.
You're not gonna make him. There we go. There we go. Well, he's not there. He lives in Mar. He's
gonna
gonna be back soon.
okay.
That's what
So the
you-
Padres have a good one. They're
I
like
don't-
the neon. Like
Oh,
the
yeah,
pink
yeah.
Vice.
Awful.
The Vice.
No, now those are awful. I don't know why they're wearing those, but they're terrible.
they have to go. They have to.
No, I don't think
Like
so.
the Orioles can't keep pretending. Like, do you know how superstitious baseball players are?
Oh, sure. Well,
There's-
ask Nucleus and
Right.
Bull Durham.
There's just no way you can keep forcing these guys to go out there when you know it is seeped into their heads.
We can't win.
You know.
We're wearing these, we're losing.
You know they're dealing. You know they're walking around the clubhouse talking about it. You know that they can't say it publicly because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble. And the question is, what's the line between the Orioles still think they can make money selling them, and that's the reason why they're
Well,
going to
the
continue
Orioles
to wear
aren't
them?
necessarily making much money on them, but Nike is.
Well, I think the markup is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it might
I'm-
be 40% or 50%.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah,
they're charging
probably.
like $250
I was gonna say,
for them.
It's probably more like. Well, I don't know what the agreement is with between the league and Nike.
Right. What the
can't-
share is, I
I
don't
can't
know.
get into
Yes,
it.
I don't know what the revenue share is.
But if it's a $200 shirt, the shirt is probably in the $20 range to make. Would be my guess.
Yeah. Given the quality of the Nike uniforms,
Yeah,
maybe 5.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe 5.
it was always a weird. It was always kind of a weird.
Yeah,
I realized they're always just going to go for the money. Like I get that.
Yes.
But it was always a weird fit with Nike. Nike's not a baseball company. But they might want to be.
Yeah, they clearly
Yeah,
do.
they might want to be.
I say this to say, I don't know if the Orioles are so hell-bent, they like did all these things, they put up these murals around town, like they're so hell-bent on, well, we said it was going to be a thing, so it has to be a thing, that nobody involved in that building can just say, guys, look, I get it. I get that you want it to be a thing, but
We can't win.
we just can't keep doing this. We can't keep pretending like this isn't happening or that everybody's crazy. We can't do it.
What is their record in those uniforms?
5-9.
Oh, hell. Who cares about that? I thought it was like 4-21. It's 5-9?
They're the best team in baseball otherwise.
Well, no, they're not.
I mean,
Second
The
best.
Braves are better.
that's
yeah.
true. They're the
Braves
second.
are third best.
No,
Braves,
they're not.
Dodgers.
They're not actually.
No, they're better than
they've
they've been better than
But
the Dodgers. Not
they're
wearing.
not better than the Dodgers.
They might not.
When they're
you
not
can
wearing
say
their
that.
uniforms.
They are.
Well, they're not.
You keep saying that. By winning percentage, they are.
Okay, but they're not better than the Dodgers.
That's not a thing. That's like saying that they're not really losing all of these games when they wear the City Connect uniform. Well, they're not really all that bad when they're. You just want to try to.
They're 5-9.
Right, I understand.
They're not 4-21.
You're right. They're not 4-21 because they're far too. They haven't played enough games. They might be
Well, what were they
5-21
last year
in a
with
minute.
them?
They were 5-6. I guess they were last year with them. Whatever the number, 5-5.
They're making a big
Yeah,
deal.
5
No, they
and
won a
6.
game this year.
5-7 last year.
No, they've won. They've won them more than twice this year. They were 5-7. We did that
So are they
video.
5-10 now?
I don't remember. It's for God's sake. No, they're 5-9. That is
okay.
the answer.
Okay.
They're 5-9 in the uniform.
Excuses.
They just can't
We just
wear
can't
them
hit.
anymore. I agree that they didn't hit
We
last
just
night
can't hit.
at all.
Last
Are
night
you?
we
I'll give you the same question I
You
just gave
can't
Jim
lose the
Bowden.
Nationals.
They're first.
Correct.
They're first in the league in home runs. They're 18th in on base percentage. Does that worry you?
What are we with runners in scoring position? 23rd?
I don't have that.
Does it worry me on base percentage? I'm going through the guys. Who glaringly sticks out? How are they 18th? How can they? What are they in average?
It's a fair question. They are.
That'll tell you a lot.
They
They hit as a team.
are
265.
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. As a team, the
265,
Orioles
270?
are 10th. They are hitting 247.
Oh my gosh.
306 on base percentage. And, look, Mullins and Santander in particular, the guys that have been in the lineup the entirety of the season, those are probably the guys that have been the most disappointing
Right.
in that.
Well, Mullins is either feast or famine.
Right. He'll have
For the
a
most
week
part.
where.
Correct.
Right.
And probably I would say Mountcastle and Santander are both also of similar ilk. Mountcastle probably does get on more. But they are also both very, very hot and cold. Mountcastle and Austin Hayes was like this. Mountcastle will go through a 9-game series where he'll get, 27 at bats or 28 at bats, and he'll go 4 for 27. Then the next week they'll come home and the first
Right.
game he'll have 2 home runs and 7 RBI.
In a small sample size this season, he's been very consistent.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying, though, if you would have said to me, pick out the 3 guys that are the most, hot and cold, those would be the 3 to jump out at me. And Mullins is just totally feast or famine, but that's okay because you get a lot of feast out of him. But you do get a lot of Mullins hadn't had a hit in 4 games.
If Mullins is going to be a 209 hitter, 264, but
then
you can't.
you're in
If that's what he's going to be,
Right.
you can't survive that.
Right.
You can't.
Your on base percentage,
And I look. It's still very awkward because you don't want Cedric Mullins out of center field. You do not want to take him out of center field because he just covers such an extraordinary amount of ground.
but you can't hit 220.
You could survive it if he's the only one. You could survive having one guy that doesn't hit in your lineup. It's disappointing if it's Mullins. You could survive that, but you can only have one, and that's the problem. If anybody else is slumping, then you're in trouble. And right now, it's not just.
What do you think the benchmark is in major leagues for on base percentage? Like, what's acceptable for a regular player, not for some guy that doesn't play much? What do you think it is?
What's acceptable?
Yeah.
Or good? That's
both. What's the line of demarcation when you say, dude, this ain't good enough? What is that? 320?
Not good enough. Not good enough is anything under 300. You can survive with someone getting on base.
I disagree with that.
It's different. It's not good. It's can you survive it? You can survive someone getting on base at a 305, 310. You can survive that guy being in your lineup.
Okay, I would disagree with that, but we're splitting hairs. I'm going to say 325 is the minimum to me, and I acknowledge somebody like Mullins is not even close to that. And I really think you should you got to be in the 340s.
I mean, to be good.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. What's our top 6 right? What's Henderson right now?
Henderson's 340.
Okay. We're
and he's had a really bad 10 days. Rutschman's 359.
Okay. What's Rio Ruiz?
Yeah, I don't think he's on the team any longer.
Okay,
now.
forget him. What's
I don't think he's there.
What's Cowser?
Well,
700.
Cowser, again, nobody wants to talk about it.
He's
Cowser's
struggling.
Stunk.
Yeah. Last 10 games, he's not been very
It's
good.
longer than 10 games.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
343 is his on base.
Who, Cowser?
Cowser.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's because he was 700 the first
Correct.
6 games
Yeah.
he played.
Exactly right. Cowser's 4 for his last 40.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
it's
Well, you know how this goes. These guys come up, they're the fair-haired boy. The pitchers don't know who they are. It takes 3 weeks, and all of a sudden there's a book on them and video, and the next thing you know, you're 4 for 40. I mean, we know how this goes.
But there really is a Cowser question because Hayes is going to come back, and at the time, Hayes they just decided they're going to play Cowser more or less all the time against righties, and I don't know if he's still going to get that treat. Like at some point, you got to start producing again if that's going to be the case. And I understand.
Well, what do you do with Mayo if he comes up? Where do you play him?
I don't have that answer. I don't have it. I don't have the answer.
Closer?
You give it a shot.
You ever close?
Give it a shot.
I mean, do you play him? Do you sit Mullen? Like, I don't know. What
How
do you do?
would sit Mullins for who?
Make the pitcher hit and
You
then
can't play
DH.
center field.
No, but I mean, somebody. We got to have some other center field. Put Mateo out there to run around.
Great. That it's not solving a problem.
I know.
Like you
But
can't.
what do you do with Mayo? Or do you just leave him down there?
Well, I
and
think-
try to
I
trade
think-
him.
Well, you got to trade somebody. Somebody has to get traded.
At least one.
Yes.
Honestly,
Somebody has to.
if not 2.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, you don't want to do it, but
no.
you're kind of faced with it, right? And so then are the 3 most valuable trade pieces the 3 guys who were in the outfield last year? Hayes, Mullins, and Santander, are they the most valuable? And would anybody give you anything for Hayes? I don't even know if they'd give you anything for him.
The issue
He was an
is-
all-star last year.
Right, that's the issue. The issue is there's no reason for a
I
team.
think you'd get something from Mullins. But I don't think Mullins would. You wouldn't be backing up the Brinks truck for Cedric Mullins.
No, it's not that you couldn't get something for them. It's that who are you trading with? You have to uniquely find a team
Sure, that needs a.
that's not good right now, that might be good next year. Like the list of teams.
Well, the Angels aren't going to be good for 10 years.
Right, that's probably fair. The list of teams that you'd be looking at is so small. Like, why would they be giving you their helpful pieces right now? They got to be bad right now, but they got to believe that they're not going to be bad for
Well,
very
and you got to
long.
get something of value that you
Right.
want.
Or correct. You're potentially fortifying someone else. You're just giving up. You're taking pennies on the dollar for these guys
But
because you
there
say you're
is
too
an
crowded.
addition by subtraction theory to this too, and I'm not picking on Mullins when I say this. Like, if in your mind, if you're Mike Eliason, you're like, he is the odd guy out. Like, he just is. And he's either the odd guy out now,
right?
or he's the odd guy out in the offseason. But he's the odd guy out. Why wouldn't I get something
But
for him?
somebody's got to play center field. That's the problem here. Someone has to play center field.
Not really.
Yeah, no, I think
We
they
used
do.
to play. We used to not have a right fielder in Little League.
Yeah, that was a heck of an idea.
Just leave it empty.
We'll see. Nobody's going there anyway. Someone has to play center field.
I get it. No, I'm not. Again, I'm not advocating trading Mullins. I'm saying,
But no, I
for
would.
any
that's
of these players.
This is the crazy part about this. I would have no issue with it, but we have to talk about the other side of it. They don't. For a while, we thought Colton Cowser might be their future center fielder. I have not seen anything for. In fairness, he actually has very good range.
Okay, you got to.
And by the way,
it is also fair
and tremendous arm strength.
But
Go look at his baseball savant and see the
Nice.
difference between arm strength and arm value.
But
he can throw the hell out of the ball. You have to have no idea where it's going.
But in fairness, if you're going to judge the potential replacement in center field against Mullins, you're always going to lose.
right.
No, you're
No,
meaning you're going to have to be willing to say, and I don't know what this number is. I'm making it up. There will be 12 balls a year that we don't get.
Right, that Mullins would have gotten.
That Mullins would
this
get,
guy's
and
not.
we're going to be okay with those 12 balls, and they might account for no runs, or they might account for 12 runs. They might account for no losses. They might be 3 in the gap that loses a game in the bottom of the 9th. Like, you have to be willing to do that.
And to do that, I believe it would require you having.
But on the flip side, the dude that bats in his place,
you think is going to score you 12 more runs, and that's the problem is that's got to be a guy that had more than 3 good weeks. Like that's
your Cowser argument.
My issue right now is I like Colton Cowser, but we are kind of drunk on Colton Cowser. No, you're out on Colton Cowser. Yep. We're kind of drunk on Colton Cowser because it was a really fun 3 weeks and Moo and Cow and. That's what we've got.
Right.
And
you guys heard of Ted Williams before? We got a new one.
Right, correct.
We got the new Ted Williams.
And so we're not talking about the fact that it's been really bad. He hasn't stayed at that pace. We knew he wasn't staying at that pace. It's been really bad since
he'd
then.
be in the Hall of Fame if he were.
Yeah, obviously. Not just the Hall of Fame. They would rewrite the record books if he was staying at that pace. So the question is Colton Cowser, is this just all part of the process? And Colton Cowser is going to be a high-level major league hitter, or is he a guy that had a torrid 3 weeks? And I don't have enough of a track record to know that. And so to make a decision like this, to give up on one of the best defensive center fielders that we've seen in favor of it is a difficult thing to do. It's tough for me to be on board with that. And I get it. Cedric Mullins is clearly not going to be here long term. So at some point, you're going to be moving on from Cedric Mullins one way or the other. Maybe it is for pennies on the dollar. But you got to have confidence in what it is that you're doing in center field post Cedric Mullins.
Or you need 235, 310, 315.
I think
they're capable of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're absolutely confident that this is not the story. This is not Cedric Mullins for the rest of his career. I think they're confident that's the case. But yeah, it's not good enough right now. There's no doubt about it. But it's also not good enough from Colton Cowser.
Never Adam Jones.
I mean, he was good.
This is your fault.
My fault?
No, I mean this is the team's fault.
How did I run Adam
Jones still be here?
Dynamite.
AJ 10.
All right, we'll come back in. We'll play Would You Rather Wednesday.
We got a PGA preview.
Sure, you can tell me all about whatever this goofy. I kept going. You got a weird week at your website, man.
Why?
I don't know, just the topics that you choose to write about are just...
It's Drew's Morning Dish.
I know.
What else are you going to write about?
I know.
I write about what people ask me to write about or opine on. What did I write about this week?
I don't know.
Oh, I wrote about Greg. Oh, my God.
Yeah, the Greg.
I didn't ask you about that. What do you think about that?
By the way, ultimately, you wrote a ton of words to say the one thing. It's weird. I think you can cover in 2 words.
But what happened? What do you think he...
What do I think happened?
Yeah, what do you... that's why I wrote about it. Like, what...
I think he tried to make it about himself. I think this is what sports media personnel, that the story of Caitlin Clark, you and I will end up going a different route with this.
I don't even have a route, I don't think, but go ahead.
No, I think there's a bigger picture topic that I think you and I would disagree.
Well, go ahead.
When there's a big story now,
okay,
sports media personalities want to make it about me.
Well, what was the big story?
The big story is Caitlin Clark is coming to Indiana. It's the biggest sports story they've had since Andrew Luck was drafted.
Sure.
I want to make it about me. I want when people think about Caitlin Clark, I want them to think about Greg Doyle.
There's zero chance that was on his mind.
I think you're insane.
How would that be? How did you put that together?
Because I watched the way that he acted on Twitter for a couple of weeks, and how many times he started tweeting about Caitlin Clark when, to my understanding, he had never tweeted about women's basketball before.
Now you're getting to the point. What? Why?
Because
does he have a crush on her?
No, because this is that part is nonsense.
Right,
but it's not relevant to me. People that want to say that, whatever. It's weird.
He has a crush on attention.
That's it. I want attention.
So you think this was intentional?
I think he went to that press conference not wanting to have that interaction specifically.
Not wanting to get suspended.
Clearly.
Right.
But he went to that press conference.
What can I say?
Wanting people, whatever it does, wanting people to be talking about him afterwards. Because the country...
That was a win.
What?
I said that was a win.
Well, yeah, they certainly were. You're right. They definitely were talking
ding,
about
ding.
it, no doubt.
You check that box, Greg.
This is what happens now. There is a thing occurring. I cover sport. I want to brand myself with that. The same way that sports media personalities in other places might do it with other local athletes. When you think about Luka Doncic, I want you to think about me. I want you to come to me for conversation and thoughts about Luka Doncic. I want to tie myself to this phenomenon that's occurring in this town. Whatever it is, it happens everywhere now. This is what, frankly, I think we argue that people want out of this.
You think
this
he deserved to be suspended?
I think they had to do something, yeah. I think they had to say,
I wrote today,
this isn't okay.
Well, what I wrote today, I think sums it up. In these sorts of incidents, if that's what you want to call this, you're going to find generally only two reactions, either an overreaction or an underreaction. Very, very rarely do you ever get the solution spot on.
And the funny thing is, I think this is the correct solution.
I
do.
Okay.
I think the correct solution is say, dude, it's 2 weeks. Chill. It's 2 weeks.
What about agree, but what about the part about not allowing him to cover her?
That's an interesting part of it.
That one smacks to me. If I were him,
yeah.
If this were you and I, and something, and every one of us had something like this happen anyway at the Ravens. If Adam Terry got almost said the S word, Adam Terry got snitty with me one day,
right?
And if the boss would have said to me, "Hey, I heard you got into it with Adam Terry in the locker room," and I would say, "Yeah, because he's a prick,"
right?
And the boss would have said, "Yeah, but you can't call him that," and I would be okay. And if he said, "You know what, dude, you're gonna have to take a week off. You have to learn a lesson, and you can't go back into the locker room," that's probably where I would have objected.
But that again would be understandable if what you did wasn't wrong. If someone's just aggressive with you,
but
there's a big difference between that.
But that's the one thing I would say. That's where I do think they might have overreacted a little. I think he should have probably been suspended. I think, and I don't even want to say suspended because it could have been anything. Punished, whatever you want to call it. He authored a very apparent, heartfelt apology to her that could have all been part of the skit, for all I know. I don't know. It read.
Yeah,
it read heartfelt. Yeah. I think he knew he screwed up.
Yes.
But not allowing him to cover her live, to me, as an outsider, almost makes it look perverted. To me.
See,
you can't be around her.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't do that.
And that may be the wrong word.
Yeah,
but it does look like that.
Yeah,
it looks like we don't want you around her. We're not sure we can trust you around her.
If you want me to say, I would say what I worry about is that came from the other side. That the team said, yeah, we're not going to have him here, and that the paper, to save face, said we kind of understand, and so we'll make it look like that was our call.
Okay, I would buy that.
We'll make that look. We kind of get it.
I won't tell you who this is on the air, but I'll tell you off the air because you know her.
Mm-hmm.
We had a situation with the Blast where we contacted the newspaper about the attire that a female reporter was wearing.
Okay.
And we said she cannot keep coming into the locker room like that.
Now, that's a problem, too. It is.
Well, we did.
We at the time, we didn't know that. It's a problem, too. You can't do that.
Well, we did. And they talked to her about it. And
but there are legitimate reasons.
And she also, later on in her career, had some other issues of similar ilk, including one in Baltimore with another team.
Well, I can't. I don't want to speak to any of those things. I don't want to. Let's not go there.
And when I write down the name, you're going to know who it was right away.
Sure.
But so now that you said that, you presented that other side. I never thought of that.
I think it reads to me more like they said, yeah, we're not doing this.
I think you're probably right.
We're not doing this. And the paper.
No. I think you're probably right.
Like, instead of fighting about it, instead of saying.
Yeah, Greg Doyle's our lead columnist.
Instead
He's been
of
here
saying
for 20 years.
They were put in the place where they said, you know what?
Because they didn't tell him he couldn't write about her.
Correct.
They said you got to write about her by watching her on TV.
Right. It reads more to me like the team said no, and they said not worth the fight. Not because we can't defend his actions.
Okay.
It's not worth the fight. And if it's like for a season, if the answer is hey, after this season, we reset everything and everything's good, then the paper might very well say, okay.
I thought the secondary comment he made was also
it was all
really
weird.
kind
It was
of spooky.
all and
You got the keys, and he
Yeah.
like nodded at her. He goes,
Yeah.
"You got the keys to that."
And again, in a charitable way, I can understand that. Like, he's just trying to be complimentary about how good of a player.
But it isn't even about. But it isn't even about that.
Right.
You could have broached that question very easily.
Correct.
Hey. It didn't happen, obviously. If Lamar Jackson would have signed with the Falcons last year,
Yes.
one of the questions to their coach would have been,
Right.
You guys just got one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
Yep.
How are you going to
What are you gonna do
utilize
with
his
that?
strengths?
Yep. 100%.
You don't say you just got the keys to that.
Yeah. It's weird.
Like,
It's weird.
It was very
And again,
odd.
it comes back to me that I think he was looking for attention. I think he was looking for attention.
So you're of the belief
and I think
that it was all that, and I'm not disagreeing with you, so I'm not picking on you. I'm saying you're of the belief that this was all pretty much orchestrated by him. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to get cute, and I might even get on Twitter.
I think in part of it is he wanted her to know who he is.
Now that 1,000,000% I agree with.
That's part
and
of
not
the
in a
it's no,
not in an emotional way. I'm Greg Doyle.
You got to understand.
better-
I'm part of this. I'm part of this now. Like, you're going to be seeing lots of me. We're going to be talking frequently. Like, this is going to
You better be
we're
nice
we're
to me.
walking this together.
better
Not
be
even never be nice to me.
Okay.
But just you are going to come out of this press conference knowing who I am. And when I call
That's a win.
you did. When I call your people about doing a sit down, you're going to say, "Yeah,
come.
I know who that is."
And you come.
Yeah, that was the guy. That's the way it came off to me. So
Well, it backfired.
Well, and by the way, it's not all that dissimilar to
backfired.
other people that we've known and things that they've tried to do over the years. Like, him with him, right?
Oh.
Like,
Sure. Sure.
aggressively.
Sure.
Like, there are plenty of sports media personalities that want to try to tie themselves.
Well, you're in my town.
Right. Correct.
I'll be here a lot longer than you will be.
They might say something like that, right?
Like, openly.
You're going to be gone, and I'm still going to be relevant. Like, they might say insane, stupid things
To Aubrey
that are
Huff.
complete.
To someone, I don't even know. I don't know why I brought him up.
Completely dissociated. Well, that one.
But I think, these are the things, like, I couldn't care less the Orioles lost 3-0 last night, other than that I had the Orioles in the over.
Right.
But these are the things that interest me. Like, this is, in our world, this is a big story. In our world, this is a big story.
I disagree
and
that it's a big story.
It is a big story.
I think it's interesting to some extent, but I disagree that it's a big story.
And it's an interesting story if it's juxtaposed against some sort of edict issued by the club. Because that's where we've gone over X amount of years, right?
Right.
Where the clubs decide now.
More or less.
The clubs decide.
More or less.
Sure, the clubs.
There are still,
wait,
there are still far fewer stories of.
But there was a day and age when, if you were in the media,
correct,
there was a seat for you at the press box,
correct,
at the stadium, or
correct,
at the arena. There was a seat for you. Now we have space restrictions.
It's still overwhelming. It's still overwhelming. I mean,
don't follow you. What do you mean?
There's still way more media that's able to. Like, the number of times someone is flatly rejected or denied the opportunity to cover the team is still extraordinarily small. It's still very small. And the number of people that you look at and say, there is no way that this person should be granted access is overwhelming. Like, overwhelming.
Okay.
The level of, go cover a Maryland basketball game and see if you have a fly-by-night website. If you
Easy. I got a reporter there, you son of a.
There are worse. There are worse. You're not even at the lowest.
I saw your look.
You're not even. You're not even at the lowest rung.
My Dale Williams knows more about basketball than you forgot.
That might be true. I don't know.
You forgot more than you know.
I have no idea. Right, whatever it is, that might be true. I don't know. It's not you that
Watch
I'm talking.
yourself.
I'm telling you, Griffin could go tomorrow and start griffinbass.wordpress.com. Have no background, have no website built, and just one post that says, "Hi, I'm Griffin," and could probably get approved.
Well, Maryland football for sure.
Well, Maryland football, they're asking you.
Maybe
to.
not basketball.
Actually, They do.
But anyway,
there's still more of that than there is.
and I guess then the other interesting part of it is, and maybe they were right to do it, but it's a
Right.
pretty ballsy move by the Indiana team.
If that's, and I
If
do want
that's
to make.
what- I know,
right.
I know.
It's important that
but
we say.
But when you put 1 and 1 together, when you do put 1 and 1 together, I always use the Latin term, right? Cui bono. Like who benefits from Greg Doyle not going to the games? Who benefits from that? The Indianapolis newspaper, I don't think, benefits from that. It would clearly be better for Greg Doyle to be there than to not be there. When you did the basketball game at Temple from the side bathroom, who benefited? You didn't benefit. You had to sit in a room and do it was a lacrosse game or something.
Women's lacrosse, yes.
You didn't benefit from. Somebody benefited from that, right? He's not benefiting from not being there. So who is benefiting? And the answer is the basketball team, because their star player isn't uncomfortable. And maybe this is even a broader subject too. No one wants to talk about this, and I understand it. But maybe this is also a discussion about the whole male-female dichotomy of authority when it comes to I'm the male writer. I'm going to write about you, and he obviously he's got a dominant position between the two of them because he's got the pen full of ink, and the barrel full of ink, and she's got a pen full. And the Indiana team is saying she's a bigger deal than you.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
She's a bigger deal than you.
It's not that those days are long gone.
And again, we're all just presupposing. If Caitlin Clark walks into the general manager's office and says, that guy yesterday, I slept on it, I talked to my parents, I don't want him around, he's done.
I don't know that it's that simple, and I'll push back on that.
If Caitlin Clark walked into the...
I understand what you're saying. I think you're oversimplifying it. I still think the team, there will be power, whoever the powers are within that team would have to go back and weigh do we have a business relationship with the paper? Do we have I don't think it is as simple and cut and dry as that.
I don't know, man. She casts a pretty big shadow.
I understand that, but there have been a lot of people that would have kicked Mike Preston out of the Ravens over the years, and that's never happened. Like, I still think that, like...
but it was never... But therein lies the issue.
Right.
It was never emotionally charged or emotionally personal. Well, it wasn't.
I don't think it
that
was.
Level. Not on that level.
It was never as weird. I'll agree with that. It was never as weird.
Right.
It was never that. But to the point, I don't think it's cut and dry as you're making it out to be, that Caitlin Clark just has the power to say yes, no, yes, no. I think her opinion matters significantly. But I still think that they would have to do their own, measurement of it.
If he'd have called her adorable, that would have been the end of it.
Probably, yes. Probably the case. All right, what are we doing? We'll come back in. We gotta grab. I gotta take. I'm so late getting to a break. I can't put into words.
Break, schmake.
Take a break. When we come back in, we'll do Would You Rather Wednesday. We got stuff to get to. Are we gonna? I don't know if we're gonna do That's What's Wrong with This Country. It went so well last week. Today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone. The MIAA lacrosse playoffs are set. And if you want to see the matchups and the schedule for the quarterfinals on Friday and the two teams that are already into the semifinals next week, then you can go to countysports.zone and check it out there. County Sports Zone is proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealers and buyatoyota.com. Drew's here. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Dynamite. Things going so... I couldn't take a break, and I still can't take a break. Now... All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program, brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Scenarios are up on Facebook. I'm getting them posted on Twitter in just a second. Drew Forrester, drewsmorningdish.com, is here as well. And if you missed Stan, Ross, and Luke getting together to talk baseball on Monday, you can find that right now. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Go to the videos tab or go to YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. PressBoxOnline.com/video.
The hockey was insane last night.
I did not watch the hockey last night.
Dallas went up 3-0 on Colorado in the first period and then didn't score again. Colorado beat them in overtime. Rangers down the whole game 3-2, losing to Carolina, tied it, and then won it in overtime.
Someone who bet on the Rangers, that was an incredible
Playoff
game.
hockey is unbelievable. There's no sport.
What was the tweet? Well, like why watch overtime playoff hockey when you can just do cocaine and ride a motorcycle out of a helicopter or something like that?
What? But no sport changes so dramatically from the regular season to the playoffs like hockey. I don't understand it. It's amazing. It is amazing the level of play and the quality of play in the playoffs versus a Wednesday night in January. No other sport. You go to an NFL game, you can have great NFL games on Sundays in October, and they're just as good in January. There's something about hockey. It's amazing.
I have not.
Caps are out.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Stunned.
Stunned. What are the
that almost never happens.
What are the Ravens' national TV games going to be?
I don't care. I
Chiefs.
I need one of them to be Houston.
Texans.
Why do you-
I know. The CBS will protect that game.
Steelers.
Why do you need
CBS will
Why do you need one of them to be Houston?
Because I want to go down there and play golf.
Oh, okay. God.
They
Well,
won't. The Chiefs
Wait,
Ravens
wait,
will
wait.
be.
Why couldn't you just do that on a Saturday if the game's on Sunday?
Well, I can.
Yeah,
but I
I
would
don't
rather the
understand
game. But then if it's on Sunday afternoon, it ruins a day of golf.
Oh, so you want to golf multiple days?
I think it's
going to
be a Monday night game in Houston.
Okay.
So then you
Sure.
get two. So you get 2 full days, Saturday and Sunday.
I'd go down.
I got to be honest with you. I don't. All the schedule stuff does zero. For
Well,
me.
here's
This
what
is
you
the
doesn't-
best
here's
time
what
of
you
year.
would
does
say.
not interest me.
But
in
here's
the
what you would say,
slightest
right?
way.
It's a natural for the Chargers and the Ravens to be
Sure.
a game.
Fine. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know, most likely one of the other AFC games, meaning Bengals,
Right.
Browns, Steelers, Texans, because the Chiefs game is going to be protected. There's no way CBS is letting them have that game. They're not giving up that
I mean, it depends on what they get back, right? Like, are they getting a Cowboys game of some sort back?
But they get 8. They get to protect 8 at the beginning of the year, right before the schedule ever comes out. I think CBS gets to protect.
But
8
I think
games.
now they also offer trades. Like there are trades that
You're not
get
trading
offered.
that game.
And they get flexed, later.
Look, you
in the
keep
year.
saying you're not trading that game. If they get offered the Cowboys,
I don't think so, man.
man, you keep saying this. Every network always says we'll take any Cowboys game over anything else.
All right.
Dude, trust me, I get it. I get it.
I think I saw a conspiracy that the Chiefs opener is going to be against the Bengals.
Okay, I was betting on the Texans being the opener for the Chiefs.
Oh,
They're
play them?
they're the sexy team that's sort of on the come that you're
Best
trying
helmets.
to. They do have that, and we don't disagree about that, and we disagree about everything.
Right.
That you're trying to further establish them as like marquee during the course of the year. That was the exact thought for the Lions a year ago, as they wanted to make a kind of name brand commodity by using the opening game to do it. And the Texans are like the perfect
Sure.
young
That makes
quarterback, exciting, added Stephon Diggs, not quite name brand yet, but feel like they're on the cusp of being
Sure.
name brand.
Okay.
That's the one for me. To me, that's the one that makes the most sense for the opener. But,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, like in their world,
Who do the Ravens play NFC? Oh, they play the East.
yes.
None of those games are appealing.
No.
Well,
Well,
from a national TV standpoint.
no, you say that. The Cowboys game is going to be a national TV game.
Oh, you think so?
It's just dependent on whether it's going to be a primetime game or a 4 o'clock. It's the Cowboys,
Well, I'm talking
man.
about when I say national, I mean the evening games.
Right. Well, that's a different thing.
Yeah,
I don't know
mean
because the
Prime time.
Could we play them on Thanksgiving Day? Would that be a worthy matchup?
it would feel like after. Are they at Dallas or
They're at Dallas.
they're at Dallas? Yeah, that would.
They're at
definitely
Dallas and at Houston.
Now, did Dallas play an NFC team or an AFC team last year? I don't, because they do flip flop that. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't anymore. Maybe
I
they've
don't
given up on
remember
that. But typically, it's been that one of them, Detroit plays an AFC team or Dallas plays an AFC.
According to
team
the
each year.
website, Dallas is a road game.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Right.
Sat
No,
down.
we're asking who they played last year.
Oh, who the
last year
Cowboys
on
did?
Thanksgiving.
On
Who did the Cowboys play?
Washington.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well, then,
On
yeah,
Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah.
they'd be in line for the AFC game on Thanksgiving.
It's weird that they would use that game.
Well, I also think that like the Thanksgiving thing, they almost feel like it's
When's
built
the
in.
draft?
Let's get the Would You Rather Wednesday.
It's in Green Bay.
Would You Rather Wednesday is
No.
brought to you
I
by
meant this
Glory
year's
Days.
Not next year.
Oh.
I don't know what this is.
Doesn't
I don't know
matter.
what.
Oh, it was last week's show.
If somebody tried to ask me what we did here, I would just say, I don't,
Just say hijinks.
right.
Just say shenanigans. You got a beer there. I mean, you're the
That's
one
a great
drinking
point,
beer on
Don.
the air, not
Yeah,
me.
You know me. You know me, pounding beer. That's the way it goes.
You used to.
Would you? I used to. Yes, I don't drink anymore. Those days are over. Except for one day a year, we do the drinking show. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Glory Days Grill.
By the way,
Somebody.
what the hell happened to Jeremy Kahn? Is he all right?
Yeah, he's okay, but I would encourage people to go listen.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I would encourage people
Was
to go
that
listen.
recent?
I would encourage people to go just listen. I don't.
I wanted to reach out with him yesterday with text, and then I didn't. I don't know. I didn't know
Yeah,
what to
it's-
say,
it's-
so I stopped because I didn't know what to say, and I still don't know what to say. I got to reach out to him.
There is nothing. Like that's the there's nothing that you can say, and I can't. I got to tell you, I'll be straight up with you. I can't listen to it. I can't. And Jeremy, like called me on Monday, and we had a conversation for a little while, and so it's a little too triggering for me because I know what he talked about. I can't listen to it, but I do still think it's important, and I'm greatly appreciative of him having the conversation. And I would continue to everybody, like, if you're going through it, talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
Talk about
Yeah,
it.
please. Yeah, don't
Make
do anything
the
dumb.
call. Make
Right.
the call. Talk about it.
Right.
It's not. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, it's not.
Well, there's nothing wrong that's worth that.
Wh-
There might be something wrong, but
Yeah,
There's-
right.
but
What I'm
there's
saying
nothing
is,
wrong
it's,
that's-
in comparison, you're not you. Well, nobody wants to deal with it. You're
Right.
going through something everyone else goes through.
right,
That's what I mean when I say there's nothing wrong with you. Like, it's not.
right.
I'm.
Yeah, you're not unique.
correct.
Right.
Everyone goes through it,
We all bet on the wrong team occasionally.
but that's probably not the way to.
No, wasn't it?
Probably. I appreciate what you're trying to do. But
No, I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to send him a text today. I just didn't know what to say.
yeah,
I think I'm just going to say, hey, dude, I hope you're okay.
I would just, tell your people. I always say this: tell your people you love them.
Yeah, right.
Tell your people you love them.
Right.
Always tell your people you love them. Like, just, it doesn't solve everything, but it don't hurt. Tell your people you love them. All right, let's play Would You Rather Wednesday. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website. You know what they have at Glory Days Grill: the ribs, the wings, the burgers. And you could have $25 to spend at Glory Days Grill. You know how much I love the cauliflower wings. I like mixing it up. Sometimes the Korean No. 2 sauce. Sometimes the honey Old Bay. Oh, so good. Glory Days Grill. Go check them out today. What?
They ought to. I'm just saying.
What? Don't. I don't know what it is that you're about to do. Don't.
right.
Don't. Think about it.
I
I don't come to your house
No,
and
I know
chew
you
gum.
don't. But I would just suggest.
You're about to say something about number 2. I don't want you to do it. I want you to stop. I want you to just move on.
Just let me give you a
Why
market.
don't you tell me more? What's the PGA tournament event this weekend?
you a-
What are they're going down to Charlotte,
Let
right?
Drew give you a marketing tip.
Nope. Ludwig.
Little marketing.
Oberg.
Little marketing-
Aubert.
little marketing
Aubert.
tip
Nope.
from Drew
No. Dying to know how you think Minnesota and Oklahoma City are going to match up in the playoffs. Dying to know that. Not that.
How about Minnesota just rolling all over
They
everybody?
do this crazy thing where they play defense. It's just what a thought. In the NBA, in this economy, who knew? All right. Number 1, would you rather? The Orioles indeed get rid of the City Connect uniforms forever.
Yes. Oh, God.
But they don't acquire any bullpen help the rest of the season.
Oh, Lord. Is this really a question?
Or they swing an almost unbelievable trade of just Heston Kjerstad and lower prospects for Emmanuel Clase, but they have to wear the City Connect uniforms every game the rest of the year.
Who cares about the uniform?
That's you.
Get me a
That's
baseball
you.
player.
That's you.
Oh, Lord. Pansies, all of you.
Yeah, I mean, because they would win.
Yeah,
Right?
you keep saying that.
He said that with
You keep
a
saying
little
that.
bit of trepidation
Yeah,
in his
he
voice.
sure did,
There
didn't
was
he?
a question mark at the end of
Yeah,
that.
right?
They would win. So,
Right?
yeah.
Right? They would
Yeah.
win, right?
Right.
I'll take Class A.
I get that everybody's going to say
They
that's
would-
the correct answer, but is it?
They would
Is
win.
it the correct
They would
answer?
win.
Is it?
Right? Yeah, I mean,
Right.
that's
right.
what I said about Greg Dorr today. I said
Yeah.
he wasn't coming on to Caitlin Clark, period.
Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
He wasn't.
I probably should have gone. I didn't know where to go with that. I ended up throwing that out there because we had technical problems this morning, and I was just in the last moment. It's probably too overwhelming. But yeah. All right, number 2. Would you rather? The Ravens make one more signing, adding arguably the top free agent left on the market in safety Justin Simmons, or the one more signing is something that's arguably their biggest need, and it's Dalton Reisner, the veteran guard.
You want me to go first? You want me to go first?
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
I'll take the
Tell you
safety.
what's wrong with this country.
I'll take the safety.
No, I'm taking Dalton Reisner all the way. I really think I'm worried about the lack of veteran presence on the offensive line, so I will go him all the way. Plus, they have Sanusi Kane, so
He's worried.
Sanusi Kane, that's going to
Yeah.
solve all their problems.
He's worried.
Oh, yeah?
He said, I'm worried.
Yeah.
I am. I'm terrified. I don't know what this offensive line is going to look like.
The safety argument is compelling for 2 reasons. One,
I
because,
mean, having a good safety
one, because Marcus Williams has been banged
Say
up
it.
as hell.
Injury prone.
Yeah, he's been banged up as hell. Now, he still played well, but, again, it's the caveat.
When he plays.
Well, it's not. He normally plays. He just tends to play with one arm. He missed time, obviously, but,
Right.
since then, he plays. He just seems to be playing with one arm. And also, you want to be able to use Kyle Hamilton in a bunch of different ways. You don't want to just have to have him lined up. You want to be able to put him up at the line of scrimmage. You want to be able to use Kyle Hamilton as a linebacker. So I get the argument for adding another safety, but I probably agree that it's the bigger need, and I would rather address the bigger need. That's probably where I am. Also, why is Justin Simmons still available? What? It feels like there's got to be something more to the story that Justin Simmons is still sitting out on the free agent market at this point. I feel like it can't just be because he's still super good and everybody's like, nah, we're all right. I don't know what to make of that. And then number 3, would you rather? What?
I don't know why I just thought of
What in the world?
I don't know why I just
It's
thought
the
of
last one. It's the end.
I don't know why. You said Justin Simmons, and somehow I started thinking about Bill Simmons, and then somehow I thought about Stephen A. Smith and the Kobe Bryant thing, and I don't know why.
What the hell just happened here?
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
Hey, your boss,
Oh,
who is twisted, has offered you.
Kobe's going to miss the first game with an ankle sprain?
Your boss, who is twisted, has offered your family a
Okay.
free all-inclusive trip to a resort of your choosing
Okay.
in mid-June if you spend the rest of this month
Wearing those City Connect uniforms.
directing a play at a local old folks' home that is based on Stormy Daniels' testimony about Donald Trump yesterday. Or
This might
I'll
be
just-
one of the most bizarre questions.
I'll just go to work.
Well, I'm interested in the testimony.
Oh?
I am.
You going to go direct the play at the old folks' home?
I am interested in the
And
testimony.
she's talking about the...
But I don't think I could do
No?
the whole month-long thing.
No?
I'm good. I'll spend $2,000.
What are you doing with your month?
I'll spend $2,000 at the beach.
Yeah, you're go
Yeah.
ahead. Nice.
When is that? Is that soon?
What?
Her testimony?
It started yesterday. Where
Oh,
have you been?
I didn't think she took the stand yet.
She took the stand yesterday.
And
it was
Any nuggets come out?
nuggets. It's
Another witch hunt.
another
Another lady
which,
lying on the
in
stand.
fairness, a couple times the judge had to say, I feel like you're being too descriptive. I feel like
That's pretty funny.
a couple of times. Say, less descriptive.
They're doing their best to run this guy to the ground.
I know. This poor guy. This poor guy. Griffin, you want to go? You want to go direct the play?
I
missed that yesterday.
probably. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you're gonna go direct the old people talking of reenacting Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump.
What happened?
Yeah, maybe I'll be able to play right.
You're gonna be a playwright.
Yeah.
Lies did she tell?
What lies did she tell?
Get some
What
attention
lies?
here.
I don't think I could do it. I don't think there's a chance. In
And then
hell.
Yeah,
and
I'd
then
do
I
it.
get to take the next week and a half off and whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't think there's a chance in hell that I could do it. I feel like it's the type of thing where somebody presented to me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm messed up enough that that'll work, and then a day in, I'll just say, nope, I'm going
I
back
guess
to work.
I haven't seen the testimony yet, so that
What's the result of this particular trial? What's the? I shouldn't say what's the result because we don't know. What's the potential punishment for this? Being found guilty.
Potential punishment would involve jail.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. He's a rich white guy. They don't go to jail. Like it's just not going to happen. Like, it's not.
So it's not a potential punishment.
I mean,
Well,
like
it's a potential punishment. I mean,
like legally speaking, it is, but that's not going to happen. Like, have you been to this country? It doesn't work that way. It's just not going to be a thing. Get me your responses for Would You Rather Wednesday at Glenn Clark Radio.
well, he
on
also
Twitter.
might not be guilty.
That's also true.
Which is why
that's
there
also
is a trial.
That's also that. You know what? That's a great point.
Trial in front of your
jury
of your
peers. At Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Would You Rather Wednesday brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Do you have something for what's wrong with this country?
I do.
All right. We'll grab a break. We'll do a short version of what's wrong with this country. Paul Cantabene is going to join us a little bit later on this hour. Obviously, it's been an emotional week out at Stevenson, and they got a big game coming up in the NCAA Tournament this week. We'll talk to him about that. That's all on the way. Drew's here, Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambler 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Oh, honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well then, don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flight's Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
The irony of that. It is time for us to do this.
Don't you see something every day and you say to yourself, this is the problem with this place? Yeah, this is what's wrong with the country. What's wrong with the country is we're not willing to talk about what's wrong with the country.
It's time for That's What's Wrong with the Country. We'll see how it goes. It's brought to you by Sports and Social, the best place to watch everything in the postseason. All the big games, all the big fights, giant media wall, great food and drink, and you're just steps away from the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Live Casino and Hotel. Sports and Social, an atmosphere unlike any other. All right, we'll see how this goes. Mine actually does touch on politics this week, but I'll get there.
Why don't you lead off? You hit lead off.
Here's what's wrong with this country. What's wrong with this country is the display that you are seeing this week from the governor of South Dakota. What's wrong with this country is the inability to just say, I lied. I was wrong. I've talked about this a million times before. I don't really care. I got to make this abundantly clear. I don't really care about the governor of South Dakota. Whatever she's doing, God bless her. I think it's grotesque the way she described the thing in her book about having to put down a dog at a farm. But, I do understand that sometimes you have to put animals down. It's just that, she describes it in a way that there's almost, joy involved. That's gross. But I understand that, things work in different ways. And there's room to have conversation about it. But it's also abundantly clear that she lied about meeting Kim Jong-un. Now, why that was something she chose to lie about, that's a conversation for a different day. You can get into psychoanalyzing that all you want, but it's clear she lied about that because when people pulled it out, she immediately said, and instead of just saying, I was trying to sell books, I embellished stories, I screwed up there. She just continues to want to say, well, I didn't say I lied. I didn't. So why'd you take it out of the book? I've met with lots of world leaders. I've been involved in policy for a long time. And it's not unique because she's a Republican. It works for everyone. For whatever reason, we're no longer allowed to say, I'm wrong, I lied, I screwed up. To the embarrassment, it's truly embarrassing theater. She's doing all these interviews where they're all saying, so you lied, and she's like, no. Okay, so you met Kim. Well, I didn't say that either. We just can't say, I lied. I screwed up. I got it wrong. To bizarro lengths. We've had this video that shows you at a theater giving someone a sexual favor. That didn't happen. Well, we have it on video.
You don't have me stealing boxes on video.
Great. We have this. And no one can just... It's bizarro world. We've created a world where acknowledging truth is weakness. And the lying is a problem, too. But I understand that people have told lies. I can't possibly understand why this woman chose to do this. I'll never understand that in my life. Or if you want to say, hey, I embellished something. You're right. I didn't meet Kim Jong-un. I wanted to sound like I did. You're right. I didn't. I lied. I screwed it up. We just can't do that. We embarrass.
It's really bizarre too. It wasn't like you met Bradley Cooper,
right?
Or you know.
Well, I guess the anecdote was
Helen
like,
Hunt.
I stared him down. Like, what the F is that?
Right, I'm sure he's worried about you.
Right. I'm sure it's something they spent a lot of time
Put a
thinking
booger
about.
on your back.
Like, what is that?
Right.
It's so bizarre.
Right.
But, you know, if it happened, at least it happened. It's effing weird, man. And this thing where we're just...
particularly from your leaders. I mean, then you're really crossing over into, you know, murky waters when it's your...
but this is just how it is now.
No.
Like, this is just the way it goes.
But you would assume, and I know my late great mom used to say, you don't want to do that.
Right.
Well, what you would assume that from your leaders, you wouldn't get that sort of embellishment or flat-out contradictory statement. It's one thing for just every Tom, Dick, and Harry to fib. When you got your leader of the state standing up there, that ain't cool. So that's put a bow on your...
It's both parts. It's both the lying to begin with, and then
mine's not that
can't say
mine's not that much. Well, mine's different, but mine touches on something similar.
Okay.
And I don't think we're seeing more and more of it now. I think we're seeing more and more of it now that Twitter has completely dissolved with this guy owning it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a...
What, you don't like having Tabitha and Terry and Whitney?
It's an embarrassment.
It's
a cesspool.
You're not cool with that?
It's awful. But, you know, I get it. He's trying to make money and because he needs it. But here's one of the things that's wrong with this country, and you're seeing it more and more now than you did a year ago because of the growth, air quotes, of Twitter and social media. No one has, and you and I touched on this a couple weeks ago, no one has any privacy anymore. There's no more privacy. Every single thing that you do or say is immediately made for public consumption. Some of it is like what this woman did in South Dakota. Some of it is reasonably public. Like these are the things you say. So some other stuff that happens, and I'm not saying this about the Trump trial at all, but some of the other things that happen in your lives, in our lives, they are not for public consumption. But we've somehow decided that when you get punched in the face at a McDonald's, that's now immediately allowed to go up on the internet.
No.
And when you get into an argument with some woman over a parking spot, that's now allowed to be on the internet. And we're now going to contact your boss. We're going to find out where you work, and we're going to track you down, and we're going to make you pay for this breach of conduct that may or may not even be relevant, but I decided it's relevant. And the publishing of, there's just no more privacy in our country. There is no privacy. Somehow we got away from that, and now everything that happens is a gotcha moment. I gotcha.
I gotta think about this.
I gotcha. We just immediately say that's going up on the internet. You got punched in the face, and I'm putting that up on the internet.
Because we can agree about that one, but
so just the general premise being. Not everything isn't for public consumption. It is not. But somehow we have morphed into this society where if you're breathing and walking and you're in public, I'm allowed to broadcast it. Everyone is an amateur broadcaster. It's awful.
But doesn't that go both ways? Because
I don't know what that
I
means.
agree with you about somebody being a victim
what
of
that
something
means.
that shouldn't be public. I would say that you have chosen to go into public sometimes to, like, let's just say, act like a racist, right? Like, you chose to do that. You walked into public and decided to do that.
Well,
the way that
you may not have decided to do that, but you may have been
did.
put into a situation where something happened and you said something you shouldn't have said, or you did something you shouldn't have done, but you didn't opt into that situation. You were brought into that situation. But I understand what you're saying.
Maybe you chose to do it.
Right.
And that's the scenario that I'm going to use. Is you chose. So there was the story the last week of somebody showing up at a anti-protester at one of the Palestine protests and it was a black woman, and a student at the University of Mississippi went and made monkey noises at this woman.
Okay.
That was that person's choice. You chose to go into public and do that. Like, that wasn't – somebody didn't come – you made that decision. That's where I'm struggling with this. Like, that to me – I have no remorse for you making that choice and then having to pay the penalty for that.
I might not either.
You made that choice.
I don't know that a law was broken.
No, I don't know that a law was broken either.
But I would say that in the office of morality and decency among human beings, you probably should be exposed for that.
That's where I'm. That's where
I think what I would disagree with, and this is, I'll get back to what happened last week with that girl at Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was, trust me, I thought the entire skit of her up there whining about getting water and food was laughable.
Right.
I vehemently disagreed with the publishing of her personal information.
That I
think that was awful.
Yeah,
They published her real email.
Right.
They published her phone number at Columbia. I thought that was really bad.
I think in general I agree with that.
That was terrible.
I think I agree with that in general, but that is a tough thing, right? Like,
I know what you're going to say. You stood up there.
Right.
You opened yourself up for this.
Yeah, it's a tough now, but to the point, you didn't say, here's my email, here's how to get in touch with me. There is a fine line there, and I don't know.
And in fairness to her, and again, I'm not defending this young woman at all.
Right.
I thought it was a joke. But in fairness to her, she presented herself in a very reasonably sane way, even though what she was discussing was dumb. But she did not get up there and cuss and say terrible things. She got up there and just
we just disagree, right? Like,
right.
Whereas perhaps if you did get up there and spout awful things, I would be less sympathetic to your information being put out there. But it's still a good question about whether or not I'm comfortable with your personal information. Even if you're a bad person,
and
I'm not sure if I'm comfortable
and I guess
with it.
the biggest, someone might say to me, well, why would you object? And I would say, you know why I would object? I would object because as a country, we've kind of lost our mind over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And there was almost no doubt in my mind that within minutes of that woman's personal information being disclosed, someone knew where she lived.
Correct.
And because we're insane,
everybody, it becomes a threat, right?
So there's just no more privacy.
It's a really compelling conversation, that end of it.
And part of it is we've lost our minds.
Right.
Part of it is I'm going to make that woman pay for her whatever, ... I'm going to her house. I'm not going to do anything to her. I'll make her a little worried, though. I'm going to stand out in front of her. Like, we're insane. And we've just decided over time, well, this is how I'm going to handle this.
Yeah.
Me.
Yep.
I'm going to handle it. I'm not comparing John Hinckley to this situation. But John Hinckley decided, I'm in love with Jodie Foster, and I'm going to make her know who I am.
Yep.
And this is the best way to do it, right? So he didn't learn that from anyone. He just decided, this is what I'm doing.
But he was clearly a psychopath.
Sure.
Right. And
but
that's unfortunately.
Someone within minutes of that woman's information
there are
being
lots of psychopaths. That's
said, I know right where that where that philosophy office is at Columbia.
Yep.
I know where she enters, and there's just no more privacy.
I hear you.
It's awful.
I hear you. All right, that's what's wrong with this country.
I'm going to roll.
You got to duck out?
I'm going to get my daughter a cell phone.
All right.
It's a terrible day.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Oh, boy.
It's one of the worst days of my life.
DrewsMorningDish.com, Fairways and Greens, Sunday, 4 o'clock. You doing a show?
Griff?
It would not be me, but I would assume you're on the air.
Oh, you're on the schedule. So
okay. I think it's Ben. I think it's Ben.
You're on the schedule.
What's Mother's Day?
Yeah, I know.
I'm like NASCAR. I don't work on Mother's Day.
By the way, everything you thought was true about NASCAR is not true.
I know. They
run on Easter.
They don't
run
care
on
anymore.
Everything that you kept saying for years,
they don't care.
all out. All right. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. I need 1 minute, then we're chatting with Paul Cantabene next here on GCR.
Hey, Birdland, head to the ballpark on Friday, May 10th for a night of baseball action as the Orioles take on the Arizona Diamondbacks at 7:05. Be sure to come out early. The first 20,000 fans 15 and over receive a Mr. Splash bobblehead. Don't miss the opportunity for this one-of-a-kind giveaway, complete with Mr. Splash's signature floppy hat, goggles, snorkel, and flamingo floaty. No one celebrates extra base hits like the Orioles Chief Hydration Officer. Buy your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Wednesday edition of the program. Been a really emotional week on it's hard to describe what it's been like being a part of the Stevenson University athletics family, and I can only imagine what it's been like for our next guest. But in the aftermath of an unspeakable tragedy, I mean, just an unfathomable tragedy of one of the more beloved players in program history, Callum Robinson passing away last week, he rallied his team and his guys, and they went out and won the MAC Commonwealth Championship, and they're getting ready to play in the NCAA Tournament this weekend. I always respect our next guest, but it's been unbelievable over the course of the last couple of weeks. He is, of course, Stevenson lacrosse coach Paul Cantabene, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up, brother. Thank you for taking the time for us.
No problem, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Man, I don't even know where to start, dude. I really don't. I want to talk about your team, but I know I know how much you love Cal, and I know how much everyone involved with that program loved Cal because I barely knew Cal, and yet I love Cal just from the interactions that we had. For people that don't, I keep trying to say this. I know how much attention there's been on how Cal died, but I hope that you can continue to tell us the story of how Cal lived and what made him so special.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing, so there's been a lot of talk about the horrific incident and the senseless of it. But what Cal did is Cal lived 3 lifetimes for all of us. He had a life that was unbelievable, and he lived it to the most. And that's what's about him. I've described him as like, when he walks into a room, he's a superhero. He walks in, everybody just sees him. They just in awe of him. And but then he also had this unbelievable gentle aura about him, where people just gravitated to him and wanted to be near him. And with that huge smile he had and those huge arms, people just kind of loved him. And Cal was just as good back to everybody that came to him because he was so positive. He wanted to meet people. He wanted to be part of their lives, and he genuinely cared about everybody he met. And I think that's one of the really big things about him that made him so special, is that he cared about everybody he met. And if you were his friend, you were his friend for life. And he was a loyal friend and helped them out and would do anything for them. And that's why I think all this hurts so much, is because he had so many people that cared about him and so many people that thought they were his friends or his best friends, and everybody was that way. So whether from here or in California or in Australia, he just had a huge following and people cared so much about him. And he cared what he did. He cared how he treated people, and he wanted to make sure he did it the right way. And that's another just outstanding characteristic of Cal in his life.
He was a hell of a player too, Coach. I mean, he was a damn good lacrosse player. You obviously were building something for a long time before Cal showed up, but in maybe putting together like the final puzzle pieces of what became that title team, how important was Cal?
Well, he was very important because he gave us another outstanding defenseman coming in. 6'5", 250 pounds, fast, athletic, tough. And, he's one of the guys you get off the bus first. Hey, let's lead with Cal, and everybody sees that and do that. But he gave us somebody next to Kyle Halachek who was a great defenseman to match up. So he was able to go. Now we got Kyle. Oh my God, now you got Cal, and then we got Parker Bratt next to him as well. So we had 3 of these very good defensemen at that time. And Cal was able to intimidate people and get after him with his speed and size, his physicality. And I think, that's what made him a great player, and just how hard he played all the time. So I used to yell at officials. Somebody just posted to yell at officials all the time. So you can't just throw flags on him because he's big. I think that happened a lot of times. He runs into somebody, that person go flying, and the Cal's just bigger than they were, and you get penalties for that. And, it's kind of unfair to him, but that's the life we live in. But, he was a 3-time All-American. He's a scholar, an academic All-American. He's the MAC Scholar Athlete of the Year for lacrosse. So Cal did it in all ways, not on the field, but on the field, in the classroom, and he made everybody around him better. So like getting Cal made Holochek's life easier, getting Cal made Parker Braden's life easier, getting Cal made our goalie Dimitri Pakunis' life easier. You got to win games with the great players, and when it comes down to those great players, got to make plays. And, he made a lot of plays.
So, Coach Paul Cantabene from Stevenson is with us. So, Coach, you're going through this last week at the same time as your team's getting ready to prepare to host the MAC Commonwealth Championship. And I got to tell you, like, what impressed me most is how the guys on this team understood. Like, I don't know if any of these guys knew Cal. I don't know if any of them had interacted with him. But, like, the number of your players that even, like, reached out to me and were engaged with, hey, we want to honor him too, and we want to share this moment that we're having. What did you learn about your group of guys and how they handled their business last week, not just preparing for a championship game, but understanding everything that your community was going through?
Well, I think they did an outstanding job of that. Some of them did meet Cal because he was back for the football game in the fall of the 2013 National Championship, got inducted in the Dick Watts Hall of Fame. So my guys all do the chains and the throwing the tunnel and all that kind of and down the sideline. So they were able to meet Cal then. Some of them were able to do that. But I think they understood just the moment and understanding how big a part of our program Cal was, and how much I loved him and all the alumni loved him. And so they really had a great understanding of that. And I think that comes down to our great leadership of some of the guys, that we have tremendous leaders, and they understood that. But we tried to also at the same time kind of insulate them from it, because, they were working hard to win a championship that they wanted to do. And, us and me and the coaching staff did a good job, I think, of, letting them be able to accomplish what they want, but also understanding the moment. And I think they understood that well and appreciated that well. But I think the biggest thing they did was that after we won it, when all the alumni came down on the field, they went over to them and embraced them. They went over and said, talk to them, and you weren't running into the locker room. Hey, let's go do this. They were going, hey, let's go take a picture with all the alumni. Let's go talk to them. Let's go shake their hands. Let's go hug them. And I think that says a lot for who they are and the kind of guys that we have in our team.
No, I think it was incredible. I think it was one of the most amazing scenes that I've seen in a very long time, Coach. And Coach Paul Cantabene with us here on GCR. Tell me about this team, right? Because early on in the season, we talk about it all the time. You never shy away from playing anyone. You play an unbelievably difficult schedule. Was it the Washington League game? Like, when did you start to notice, like, hey, these new pieces offensively are figuring it out? And when did you have the feel for, like, this team can get to the place that we wanted them to be at?
Yeah, it took some growing for us, to kind of get to where we are. We knew that we were going to have so many new people on the offensive end, a whole new attack, some other midfielders to get in there, and it took them a while, to adjust to college life, how to be a college lacrosse player, not only on the field but in the classroom, how to maintain yourself physically to do that. So it took a little bit of a learning curve for them to get going, and we thought we had a pretty good offense. It just took a little while for us to get there, start to shoot the ball better, understanding how we needed to play, and then Connor Haplin started getting better and better at the face-off position, and us getting better there. But we put a lot in our defense early. And unfortunately, I think we put too much on the plate early before we started becoming a better offensive team. And then once we got to that W&L game a little bit, I think that we were able to kind of figure out us offensively. Gavin Gosson and one of our, freshman attackmen started playing a lot better and understand, he's great now. And then Darrell Curtis started playing better. Now he has 44 goals on the year. So those guys and Hunter Brandt started playing better. And then we're starting to get better play from Andrew Searing, coming off an ACL this time last year, and he's playing at this level. So he's feeling better of his knee and doing that. And so I just thought we started playing kind of overall, and we knew it was going to take some time. So we're really happy with where we are. I think we're playing hard. We're playing unselfish. We understand how we have to play in order to be successful, I think. And then if we get outside of that, and then we struggle. And I think they understand that. So we've done a really good job, I think, over the last 6 weeks, just understanding who we are, playing that way, and really being a very unselfish team. And I think that's helped us tremendously.
Now you get a heck of a test, right? Like, you got to go up to Union on Saturday, and that's a damn good team. How ready do you feel like this group is to get back to being able to beat the teams of that caliber?
Well, I think we've been there. We played every good team we played a lot of great teams. So we understand how to play in certain situations. They've played a lot of great teams. They know how to play in certain situations. So I think we're two very similar teams. They kind of let their guys play. We kind of let our guys play. They want to be aggressive defensively. We like to be aggressive defensively. They got a pretty good face-off guy. I think our freshmen are pretty good. So we're kind of similar in certain ways. So we just got to go up there and play. This time of year, it's all about confidence, I think, and where you are mentally. It's not about how long you practice or I think it's all about the mental game. So I think our guys are pretty rested. We're pretty good in a mental spot. And I think we'll go up there and give it a hell of a go. And I think our guys are pretty confident. So but Union's very good. They got some great midfielders. They got a very good goalie, good face-off guy. And they're going to want to win as well. And they had a lot of success last year in the tournament, so they know what it's like to be there as well. So it's going to be a good game.
You how you handling this whole number 10 thing, that it was your 10th conference title, right? That. Man, I'm not the most spiritual person on the face of the planet, but that kind of smacked me this week, Coach.
Yeah, it's just amazing how things work. But, winning our 10th conference championship for number 10 is unbelievable. So I think that really is a great symbol for our guys and how it all worked out like that, but we're never going to let Cal's memory go away. We have lots of things that we want to talk about, that we want to do to make his memory last forever. And I think our guys and our alumni are working hard at that. And we're going to come up with some great things to honor Cal coming up here real soon. So, it's just been, a hell of a week, but, I think we're all getting through it. We're all trying to heal. And I think that's what Cal would really want us to do, to celebrate his life rather than concentrate on how it ended.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt that is the case. And he'd be rooting like hell for these guys and for you guys to get up there on Saturday and go get a big win.
No doubt.
Coach, I told you this on Saturday. I love you, and I've always appreciated you, and I appreciate the role that I have over there. But this is one of the most incredible things, just to see you as a leader and everything that you took on with these current players and a group of alumni. It was really powerful to me to watch how much you meant to the entire community in dealing with this. So I can't say enough about the reverence that I have for you and for the program. And an incredible group of kids, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but that's just the job. You got to do that for your kids and everybody, and you don't got time to, grieve a whole lot. You got to lead and help your people get through it, and I think that's what it's all about. In the tough situations, I think that's when you see the best of people, and I've seen a lot of best of people in this last week, and it's been awesome.
Awesome, Coach. Go get them on Saturday. Let's talk more as we continue along here in the tournament. Appreciate you as always, brother.
Thanks a lot, Glenn. Appreciate it.
Coach Paul Cantabene, Stevenson University lacrosse coach. If you missed it last night, was the PLL draft. And Coach Staggs, by the way, will join us tomorrow from the Whip Snakes. Paul Rabel, at the start of the broadcast, offered a really nice tribute to Callum Robinson right at the beginning. And I think Brian Powell might have tweeted it last night. If you want to go, you might pull that up. It was really fitting. And we're going to Paul's doing the rounds because he's got a book out, and we'll have him on. I just want to be able to read a little bit of the book before we do that. I try to do it that way so that I'm not just making things up. So Paul will join us again probably next week is what I think it's going to work out to, just to, again, buy me some time. I'm just getting my hands on the book, so they wanted to send me a physical copy. I was like, okay. But I was really appreciative of, in that moment, by the way, it was Ajax Zapatello, much to Griffin's dismay about wanting it to be Pat Cavanaugh.
I mean, they're just going to have to
stop. Hell of a player, man.
Yeah,
hell of a player, Zapatello.
You better be able to, he's going to have to, take out the shins of those Cavanaugh boys whenever they play Boston.
I mean, I don't think that's exactly the way it's going to have to work, but, I get it.
I'll take it.
I get it. Zapatello ended up going third overall, and, some other local guys ended up going. Adam Patra from Loyola went there, and a couple Towson kids. I mean, obviously,
yeah,
Chase
Patra went to the Whips.
Yeah. Chase Erlin went out to California, right?
Somebody did. I forget. Was it? I know one of the local guys did. I can't remember.
Apologies. I was watching baseball last night. Actually, I was doing a radio show last night is what I was doing, and then I was watching baseball, and then I watched basketball afterwards. So it was a compelling night. Do you have it?
Yes.
All right. This was at the start of last night's PLL college draft.
Last week, the lacrosse world tragically lost one of our greatest ambassadors, Callum Robinson. Born in Perth, Australia, Callum was an all-world captain of the Australian national team. He was the 25th overall pick in the 2015 college draft and a former teammate of mine with the New York Atlas. You always carried a smile, a big heart with a fiercely competitive mind. And this season's dedicated to you, brother. Our hearts are heavy as we remember you and think of you throughout the night.
Yeah, it was really a very fitting and very touching from Paul Rabel at the start of the broadcast last night. All right. When we come back in, we'll get a tidbit. We'll go over that next. Glenn Clark Radio. Hartford Community College will host the National Junior College Athletic Association's 2024 Men's Lacrosse National Championship and Women's Lacrosse Invitational on May 11th and 12th at Hartford Sports Complex, 401 Thomas Run Road in Bel Air, Maryland. The semifinals on May 11th include the Women's Invitational, with the Women's North A representative playing the Mid-Atlantic B representative at 10 a.m., and the Women's North B representative facing off against the Mid-Atlantic A representative at 12:30 p.m. For the men's championship, the number 1 seed will play the lowest remaining seed in the quarterfinal round at 3:30 p.m. The men's number 2 seed will face off against the highest remaining seed at 6 p.m. May 12th is reserved for the national championship games at noon for the women and 4 p.m. for the men. Tickets are $20 each day at hartfordevents.com or at the gate if available.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland, at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meredith Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland. Visit Hagerstown.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flights Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
Oh, honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well, then don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
If you haven't picked up this print issue of Press Box yet, it's time for you to get over to your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Great cover story from Luke Jackson, all about Grayson Rodriguez. Go pick up that print issue of Press Box today. I'm trying to think about stuff that maybe we didn't. I I didn't watch any of the Boston-Cleveland game. There was nothing really to see there. I did watch the Thunder Mavericks. I am worried that much like I was too dismissive of Minnesota going into the playoffs, that maybe I'm being too dismissive of Oklahoma City. Like, I'm definitely treating the Timberwolves-Nuggets series like it's the finals, and maybe I'm just kind of missing it with Oklahoma City. I still just think the Timberwolves play defense in a way that, like, I don't know who's beating them, but OKC sure looked good in the second half last night. Looked good as hell. And they're fun. Like, it's fun. Reed and I had this conversation last night, like, about it's fun that it's different markets and new stories and new. It probably isn't great for the NBA's media partners. Like, they're probably going to be disappointed that, like, the ratings will be down because it's not LeBron and Durant and Steph Curry. But it's fun for me as a sports fan that it's something different. I like different. I just like new.
And I think it's more that the games haven't been close.
That is a problem, too. Yeah. I agree with that. Although, like, again, you say that. The Cleveland game stunk. But, like, last night's game was a battle for 3 quarters. And then, like, there was no reason for anybody to be checking out at halftime last night. You want to say the Denver-Minnesota game the night before, people could have been checking out of? Sure, right? Like, you absolutely could have been checking out of. The other problem the NBA has that, like, you can't really talk about is that, like, the Western Conference has been the more appealing conference for a few years, and you're getting games that start at 9:30 or 10. And that's I get it. Like, it matters for the people in the West. That's good news. But you're missing out on, like, half the country being able to be invested in these games and pay attention in the way that you would want them to be paying attention to in order to create these new stars. Nothing you can do about that, really. Like, you can't get to a place where you're only playing one game a night, or where you're like, could you stagger it so it's 6:30 and 9 o'clock? I guess it's not ideal, but you could do it to try to combat that. And I'd be listening on that. It would at least be better than starting games at 10. Oklahoma City, Minnesota would be a hell of a lot of fun. Would be a hell of a lot. Not to say that Dallas wouldn't be, because, you know, it's still Luka Doncic, but, like, Oklahoma City, Minnesota is an awful lot of fun. Just 2 small markets and not name brand for people that aren't basketball fans. For people that are basketball fans, Anthony Edwards, SGA going up against, that's awesome. But if you're not, like, a big basketball fan, you know.
Well, everyone should know who SGA is now. They should know who Chet is as well.
Because of the stupid commercial.
Play is about,
but they don't even, like, say who they are in the commercial. And you have to be watching basketball in order to see it.
I feel like I feel like maybe I've been watching more basketball.
I
guess March Madness they played it a ton.
They played it all the time during March Madness, and they played it all the time during the playoffs. I don't think that they just run it during, you know, I don't even know what people watch on TV. I have no idea what people watch on television. I don't know if they run it on Impractical Jokers. I have no idea. But they do run the hell out of it, and everybody's annoyed by it.
Hockey's on TNT sometimes, so
maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they run it during hockey. I haven't been watching the hockey. I'm sorry. Only so much bandwidth, and I've given it to the Orioles and the NBA. That's what's getting my bandwidth during the course of these weeks. And this weekend, I'll watch some more lacrosse. I'll definitely spend some time with the lacrosse games this weekend. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. Everything you love about the original Atman's, but now they have a full bar as well. Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. The corned beef sandwiches, all the deli sandwiches, the hot dogs with the bologna, the soups, the desserts. It's Atman's Deli, for God's sakes. Atmansdeli.com is the website to see the daily specials.
5th time this season that the Avs, who were down by 3 goals last night, as Drew pointed out, I think the Stars went up like 3-0 in like the first period, and then the Avs were down 3-0, and then they went back and shut out the Stars for the rest of the game, and then came back to win in overtime 4-3. That is the 5th time they've done that this season.
Hell yeah, brother!
No other time in NHL history, regular season and postseason, has a team done that more than 3 times in a single season.
Hell yeah!
And the Avs have done it 5 times.
Are we betting on them then? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, I would lean towards them now. I mean, I guess so. The Stars, I guess, were the better team because they were home, and this was game 1. But yeah, I don't think the Avs.
I don't really understand.
I wouldn't be able to go against
loaded.
the Avs.
That's the only thing. I don't know anything about the Stars. The Avs are loaded.
They have Otter in goal. Their goaltender's really good.
Hell yeah.
Ottinger.
Ottinger.
Yeah.
Ottinger the Otter.
Yeah. I forget. I don't know what his first
Sure.
name is. They got a cool fan who wears an otter mask all the time. It's every game. So,
yeah, they do.
So that's always fun.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a.
Is that what you got?
That's hockey.
Okay. All right.
Trevor Williams
doing that hockey. The other team I know has Cole Maker and Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
So I
Very
just keep,
good.
like whenever I want to feel like I can be involved in hockey conversation, like if somebody brings up hockey to me, which I got to be telling you, of everything in my sports fandom that's had to tap out, hockey has had to tap out. We don't have a team. My team doesn't exist anymore. I don't have a team any longer. Like, I'm out. I'm sorry. Will I watch the Stanley Cup Finals? Maybe. But the Orioles are good. If the Orioles weren't good,
it would be.
everything
would be a lot different.
Yeah. The Orioles are good. I'm a bigger NBA fan. I don't have a team any longer. It's just all coming up no hockey. So when somebody brings up hockey to me, and I want to feel like that's just what I say. Avalanche are loaded. Like, that's just what I say.
Rangers,
dude, they're just so loaded.
The game was good. The game was really good. Like,
sure, it's playoff hockey. I bet it is.
And because once you turn on an overtime hockey game, I mean, you can't turn it off until the game ends.
It's not that I think the hockey's bad all of a sudden, or it's worse or anything. Like, it's just I only have so many things that I can take in.
I may be a Rangers fan for the rest of they're fun just because they're fun.
They're
team.
in New York.
They've
Yankees
got that.
fans,
I know.
Yankees fans like them.
All right. I mean,
Oh,
it's also
God.
hockey. It's
That's
also,
fine,
like,
but I don't.
What else am I supposed to do?
They're going to be happy Yankees fans.
They're probably going to make the finals. So
if you say so.
They got this guy Zibanejad who's really cool. He's got long hair and he's really cool looking. Igor Shesterkin in goal, and they got the whole crowd whenever he makes a save, the whole crowd gets going. Igor.
Okay.
Igor.
Good for them.
It's pretty cool.
Good for them.
I don't know. I don't see the Rangers losing ever again.
Ever again? I don't.
Not
apparently,
this year.
you didn't hear the Avalanche are loaded.
All right, so it's gonna be Avs versus Rangers.
They're
and I
loaded. Well, by the way, when I needed a team when I was a kid, I did have a bit where I feigned as an Avalanche fan because it was the same theory.
And they're cool.
It was the same theory I had with basketball as a kid. It was give me a player, and for me, it was Patrick Waugh. Like, I was all in on Patrick Waugh, in part because Waugh was a cool name to say, right? Like, so. And they also had Sakic and Forsberg. Like, they were loaded. They were loaded. This is the only hockey take I have.
Oh, man, they're loaded.
Avalanche, once were loaded, now loaded again. That's what I've got for you about the hockey. But I feigned being an Avalanche fan because I rooted for players. If I was going to be a hockey fan,
and I'm rooting for Connor McDavid as well, obviously.
Well, okay. I mean,
because he's really good.
He is good. I have watched Connor McDavid. He is really good.
I just don't. Yeah, like you said, the Avs are loaded. I don't know if he'll be able to get past them.
We should make shirts.
Avs are loaded.
We should sell Avs are loaded shirts. That's all I've got.
So Trevor Williams
dude,
last year.
If somebody came up to me tonight at the bar, like, dude, you watching the NHL playoffs? Like,
man, the Avs.
All I would be able to say back is like, dude, the Avs are loaded.
McKinnon,
they're loaded.
Carr, they're loaded.
There's a part of me that kind of wants a Canadian because it's still been how many years since the Canadian teams won the cup?
Was Montreal the?
I genuinely
the last one.
It's been an eternity. Last Canadian.
I guess you want me to guess then, since you'll look it
sure.
up first.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Canadiens.
It was the Montreal Canadiens.
And was it like 2010 maybe? No.
It was 2010.
Oh, really?
My God, it's way longer than that.
So that must have been like the last time they were in the cup.
Well, no, there have been other teams. Yeah, I don't know if they've been because the Canucks were in the cup. They got to a game 7 against the Bruins. Remember, there was all that rioting afterwards.
Okay, so it's been a long time.
98. Before that.
90.
93. 92-93 season. And their goalie was...
Would we name him?
We've already talked about him.
Oh, then I don't know.
Patrick Waugh,
Patrick
you idiot.
Waugh. I thought I would have assumed that you liked an attackman or something.
No, goalie was where it was at back when in that era. It was like Hasek in Buffalo, Brodeur in New Jersey, Patrick Waugh, and Mike Richter in New York. Like it was an era of Grant Fuhrer. It was an era of goalie play.
Richter's on TV now, I think, right?
Probably. I don't know. I can't. Ask him what I know about hockey right now. Go ahead.
What do you know about hockey right now?
Dude, the Avs are loaded.
Are they?
They're loaded. They're just so loaded.
That's why I'm worried about Connor McDavid in the
That's all I can keep saying. I just have to keep repeating it.
We just keep going in this circle.
Because somebody else will bring something else up and be like, yeah, dude, but the Avs are loaded. You don't understand. The Avs.
See how good Swayman was
the
in goal
Avs are loaded.
for the Bruins? The other night?
Yeah, dude. But the Avs are loaded. They're loaded. Like I just don't know what you do. They're so loaded.
Should get a good Eastern Conference Finals match between the Rangers and whoever wins Florida.
Yeah, maybe.
Boston.
But like, dude, the Avs are loaded.
They still got to win 3 more games against the Stars.
Yeah, well, I think they could because they're loaded. That's what I've got, man.
Okay.
That's the extent of my, like, put me in a conversation. It's related to hockey. That's what I got for you.
The Orioles don't need to be worried about the offense just because Trevor Williams, I think, is going to be that good this year. He has a 1.96 ERA a year after he led the National League among all pitchers in home runs allowed. He has not allowed a home run yet this season and through 35 innings of work and has a 1.96 ERA. So, Trevor Williams is he might be a Cy Young candidate.
It's very weird. It's what a world. What a world we're living in.
Max Muncy hit a grand slam.
By the way, when they got him out after 5, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Didn't change it.
Did not
Damn
matter.
thing.
6 career grand slams after a grand slam last night for Max Muncy. It is tied for the 6th most in Dodgers franchise history, but it did get me wondering about the Orioles and grand slams in Orioles history. Who has the most grand slams in Orioles history? If Max Muncy was an Oriole, he would be tied for 6th.
Okay.
So try to name top 6 in
Well,
Orioles
I mean,
history.
I'm still going to go with, like, Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken has 8.
Yeah.
He is tied for 2nd. There's 4 guys with 8 home runs or 8 grand slams.
It's 4 guys.
And then
I
number
thought you said
1.
I'm naming the top 6.
Yes, top 6. Okay. So yes, you're correct.
Right. I'll still say. I mean, I feel like you just have to, Brooks Robinson played for 22 years.
Not Brooks Robinson.
He wasn't a big home run hitter, but he played for 22 years, so it feels like it was a reasonable guess.
He had less than 3.
Eddie Murray.
Eddie Murray is number 1, 16 grand slams.
Makes sense.
In his Orioles career.
Home run hitter. He didn't have the longevity, obviously, that Brooks had in Baltimore, but he was a home run hitter. I'll still say Frank Robinson.
Frank, not in the top 6.
Okay. I get it, but it still seems like it was a reasonable thing to guess. Boog Powell.
A reasonable guess, but no.
Rafael Palmeiro.
No Raffy.
This is a little more surprising. Brady Anderson.
No Brady. Raffy had 4. No Brady. Brady had 3. Bum.
Okay. How about Chris Davis?
Chris Davis has 8 as well, tied with Cal and 2 others.
Well, Chris Hoyles might have hit the most famous grand slam in Orioles history. Is Chris Hoyles on the list?
Chris Hoyles is on the list with 8 grand slams.
Obviously hit the ultimate grand slam. Somebody was still sharing that video. Like every it's one of those things that just comes up every now and then on Twitter. Is Chris Hoyles trailing by 3, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, the ultimate grand slam.
Kind of like Willie Adames had an ultimate 3-run homer.
Did he?
Yeah, they were playing the Royals yesterday. They were down by 2, and then he hit a 3-run homer. Went up 6-5.
I don't know if they call it an ultimate 3-run homer.
Probably not.
I feel like you only call it an ultimate grand slam because it's like the most quintessential.
Yeah, someone did share this 2 days ago.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it comes up all the time.
It's because this is what Twitter is now. It's just talk about a random something.
Well, and get a ton of.
Not enough people talked about Chris Hoyles.
Oh yeah, sure. Not enough people, dude. Manny Machado.
Is also has 8, tied with Chris Davis, Chris Hoyles, and Cal Ripken. The only one not with a C name.
Missing 1.
Yeah, you're missing number 6 on the list. He had 6 grand slams.
He had, so that sounds like he's not an active player.
He is not an active player. I bet if he wanted to come back.
You asked Adam Jones.
Not Adam Jones.
He wanted to come back. If he wanted to come back.
Probably couldn't come back. But
probably couldn't come back.
I bet he looks like he probably could, though.
Looks like he probably could.
I think he's aging well.
You think he's aging well, which means that we see him.
Yeah. It's not Jim Palmer.
Right.
I didn't want to confuse
But he is aging well.
Yeah.
He always has. It's not Ben McDonald.
No.
See him.
He might be able to come back.
Maybe.
Think he can close games?
Yeah, right? We should at least give it a shot. Someone we see. We see this person enough to know how he's aging. Ken Singleton.
Not Ken Singleton. He has 5 in his Orioles career.
See this person. Someone who's public. Bordy?
Not Bordy.
That would be crazy if Bordy was hitting grand slams. Barely hit home runs. Someone we see. Matt Wieters.
Not Matt Wieters.
Who do we see? This is actually kind of J.J. Hardy.
Not J.J.
Kind of messed with me with this one.
He does,
Who do we see? Who do we see?
Because he'll do, one series a year.
Brian Roberts?
Brian Roberts. 6 grand slams. 6 grand slams for Brian Roberts. Lee May had 5. Gary Renicky had 5. And Doug DeSense's also had 5, tied with Kenny Singleton.
Very good. So, by the way, Tidbit was also brought to you by County Sports Zone, countysports.zone, which is proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. MIAA lacrosse playoffs are set. Check out all of the matchups right now at countysports.zone. Do we have to take one more break?
We do. My apologies.
Mistakes were made today. Mistakes were made. Compounded by the fact that I didn't take a break for an hour. But mistakes were made on top of that. And so because of it, we got to make sure. I'm sorry for those of you that are with us on audio. You're hearing a bunch of commercial breaks today. I'm so sorry. For those of you that are with us on video, we didn't get them to you. We gave you dead silence. Very sorry. We'll come back in. We'll get Tubular to wrap it up. Glenn Clark Radio.
Hey, O's fans. This Mother's Day, take Mom out to the ballpark as the O's take on the Arizona Diamondbacks on Sunday, May 12th at 1:35. The first 15,000 fans 15 and over will receive an Orioles wristlet. Create a memorable Mother's Day and enjoy all the action and excitement of Orioles baseball. Plus, stay after the game for Kids Run the Bases, when all fans 4 to 14 can run the bases like the pros. Presented by Wise Markets. Buy your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
What company makes your home more energy efficient, purifies your air, kills all viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates? A.J. Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson profiles Grayson Rodriguez, talking to people who have been part of his path as the Orioles hope he'll become their next homegrown ace. Also inside, we remember legendary Maryland basketball coach Lefty Drizel with stories from legends like Roy Williams and Bobby Cremins about what it was like to go up against the old left-hander. Press Box is available at over 500 locations around Baltimore, including 60 Royal Farm stores. You can also find the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The Ed Block Courage Award Foundation has been working in partnership with the NFL for 46 years to support abused, neglected, and at-risk youth across the country, partnering each team with a children's facility or program that supports the well-being of those in need. Annually, one player from each team is selected by their peers to receive the Courage Award for their inspiration on and off the field. Learn more about how the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation makes a difference, and be sure to check out their latest podcast and web series episodes at edblock.org.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, winding down for a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. Continue to get me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Someone is going to win a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill just for participating. By the way, I don't know when we're going to do it, but John Proctor just sent this to me. Apparently, there is some sort of craze involving pickles and Dr. Pepper. So this one's not even going to have to be a bet because
John's in it.
I'm just going to do it. What?
John's in it too then, right? Since he's
John sent it so he can come by. Yeah, find out when he wants to come by, and we'll do pickles.
We're just going to do it? Okay.
Pickles. No, we're not going to do a bet. We're just going to do it. Fine. It's putting pickles in Dr. Pepper. I don't know. We got to figure out how many pickles you got to put in, how the whole thing works.
We're gonna pickle pickles in Dr. Pepper.
I guess like that.
Well,
they're already pickled.
They're
already
pickled. Dunking it in.
I don't know. We're gonna find out what the internet has to say. I've not been able to get to the bottom of this yet. It was just brought to my attention that this is a thing, and we're gonna.
Thing.
It's a thing apparently. The internet is doing this, so we're gonna do it too. That's the way it's gonna go. Got it? Good. That's the way it is. All right. It's time for Totally Tubular.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Orioles Nationals tonight at 6:45. Kyle Bradish against Mitchell Parker. Orioles broadcast on Masson 2, Nationals on Masson. Maryland baseball hosts USC Upstate. Throughout all the records when those teams get together. That's 6 o'clock tonight.
Because they've never met before? Or
Big Ten Network Plus. I have no idea if they've ever met before. What do you think do you know what the mascot is for USC Upstate?
I should.
I believe I know it.
Let's go Bulldogs.
Spartans.
Oh, I think I should have known that. Yeah.
For USC Upstate.
Yeah.
Just one basketball game tonight, so it's at a more appropriate time of 8 o'clock. Pacers-Knicks Game 2 on TNT and True TV. ESPN has Brewers-Panthers Game 2 at 7:30. Oilers-Canucks Game 2 at 10. Ask me what for my breakdown.
Oilers-Canucks. Who you got? Game 1 of the series. Who's going to win?
It's just the Avalanche. They're just loaded, so I don't know that it really matters because the Avalanche.
You're saying don't watch?
They're loaded. FS1, Diamondbacks, Reds at 6:30. MLB TV, Brewers, Royals at 2. MLB Network, Blue Jays, Phillies at 1. Marlins, Dodgers at 4. Giants, Rockies at 9:30. The NCAA Lacrosse Tournament technically gets underway tonight on ESPN+. Albany's Sacred Heart for the right to face Notre Dame this weekend. That's at 7. UEFA Champions League semifinal, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, leg 2 at 3. Who won the other semifinal? Who's in the Champions League?
Dortmund? Dortmund, yeah.
Dortmund on to the final.
BPSG.
On to the final. Look at that. And then also tonight, sorry, I don't know what just happened here, but I managed to lose.
Glenn wanted to get into the Champions League.
Utah Royals, San Diego Wave, the night at 10 on CBS Sports Network, TBS for AW Dynamite at 8.
It is, in fact, the first time the two upstate Maryland
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Throw out all the records.
Survivor, of course, at 8 o'clock on CBS. Abbott Elementary, another episode. David Beckham will be on Jimmy Kimmel because I think he's got another documentary coming out, or they're re-promoting the Beckham doc. I don't know.
If you say so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Apple TV has a show called Dark Matter. This is with Joel.
By the way, I attempted to watch the John Mulaney thing.
Like his stand-up and...
No, it's not stand-up.
Oh, it's like a live...
It's like a late-night show is
really?
What he's doing, but
so debuting
just for the week, just because of the Netflix festival.
Yeah.
There's nothing there, man. And I love John Mulaney. It is bizarre. And I know that part of it is purposefully bizarre, but it's the wrong kind of bizarre.
So he's not replacing.
Well, not this
Fallon.
this show.
He's not
is
replacing your mortal enemy, Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. It's not this show. Like he might be doing late night at some point in his future, but it's not doing this. Like it's got to be. It was just every ounce of it was weird and got weirder, and there were moments that like the awkwardness was working for comedy, but it was more awkward than funny. Like I watched the one that Jon Stewart was on and Gabriel Iglesias, and it was just. I get that the point was how weird it is, but it was too weird. It went way past like Letter. It's that thing where like you feel like it was inspired by Letterman, but it went so far past Letterman. I just threw my pen.
Getting worked up.
Did that, dude? I was like, what? I actually tapped, and I finished everything. And I tapped.
There's no shame in that.
That's how I started the Unfrosted movie. I was so like, I need something else.
This can't be nearly as bad.
No, I'm not sure what to make of that.
Are we gonna finish it?
I don't know, dude. It exists. That's all I can give it.
I was hoping like today we finish it, just so I can get a little taste.
Well, you can watch it.
Eh.
Yeah, right. That's exactly the appropriate response. I think I saw the internet saying it's like the worst thing ever. It's not that. It's just, it's fine. It's fine. That's what it is.
Joel Edgerton, so he's got like a perfect life, a show called Dark Matter on Apple TV, and then one day he gets abducted, and then he wakes up and he's like it's a whole completely different life, and he finds out that in this life he's actually like a genius.
Oh, all right.
And he built it's not that great though, because he built a box that like unlocks the like multiverse apparently or something in a timeline to all his other lives.
I'm tapped out already. I'm exhausted. There's already too many rules, too many parameters.
So he concludes that he was abducted because in his life, his actual life, he's married to Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
How old is Jennifer Connelly?
I don't know. She looks good in this, though.
I mean, she looked good in the Top Gun movie, obviously, too.
Oh, right, yeah. So yeah. So that's why he's like, so this guy...
She's got to be in her 60s now,
tracked
right?
me down because I'm married to Jennifer Connelly.
Oh.
Because, like, what is... So he's like, oh, my God, there's, like, millions of these timelines. How am I going to find the one...
Jennifer Connelly was only 53. My bad. I'm sorry. My apologies.
I didn't hear
your
guess.
Her 60s.
60, jeez.
Well, she's been around forever.
Like I did the Willie Mays, you're going to kill off Jennifer Connelly.
Well, I wasn't going to kill her off. No, I very much knew she was alive.
Because I confirmed to you that she was alive.
I guess the problem is, like, you think of Labyrinth, but she was probably, like, she was a child when she was in Labyrinth, so that's part of the issue here.
So, yeah, he's trying to figure out how to get back to Jennifer Connelly. And yeah, it's a little psycho thriller a little bit. So that's on Apple TV. Hollywood Con Queen. This is also on Apple TV Plus. So this is like a person that would lure hopeful Hollywood like actors and actresses to like Indonesia, and then they would like trap them there. This might be a book clubber. I don't know.
Oh God.
And like use like psychological torture and stuff. It looked pretty not fun. So that's on Apple TV Plus as well. That's really it. Oh, and Netflix. The Final. This is the Attack on Wembley documentary. When like back in 2021 at the Euro final, like people were breaking in to get into the Euro final. So there's a quick doc on Netflix if anyone's into that.
I might look at that.
Yes.
All right, very good. Thanks today to Drew. Thanks to Paul Cantabene. Thanks to Jim Bowden. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Tab at Glenn Clark
Jennifer
Radio.
Connelly's on Seth Meyers tonight too.
Oh, there you go.
If you want more Jennifer Connelly.
I think I'm good. All right. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, we'll chat with Whipsnakes coach Jim Stagnita about the fallout from the draft.
Go Whips.
Really going to do that. We're going to Bowie, you said tomorrow.
Yes.
Stuffing things.
All
right, stuffing things. Thanks, everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Visit Hagerstown in Washington County, the Maryland Jockey Club, Live Casino and Hotel, Atman's Deli, A.J. Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, Ed Block Courage Awards, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costa Sin, MSAA, Hartford Community College, Glory Days Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. For the love of God, go get some hits tonight. Go Birds. Dukes up.